Sydney. The details now. Sudan Gurung has been reappointed as Nepal's Home Minister after taking oath of office and secrecy before President Ramchandra Paudel at Sheetal Niwas. Gurung was sworn in alongside Mahabir Pun, who has been appointed Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation at a special ceremony attended by top state officials. Earlier, Prime Minister Balendra Shah expanded his cabinet, reappointing Gurung and bringing Pun into the government. Gurung, a Rashtriya Swatantra Party MP from Gorkha Constituency 1, had resigned earlier following questions over his property details. An investigation committee later submitted its report, which was endorsed by the cabinet today itself. The ceremony was attended by the Vice President, Prime Minister, Chief Justice, Speaker, heads of constitutional bodies, ministers and leaders of major political parties. Nepal's Council of Ministers has endorsed the Civil Service 16th Amendment Regulation 2083. Government spokesperson and Minister for Education and Sports Sashmit Pokhrel said the cabinet meeting held at the office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers also formed a 9-member ad hoc committee under Bishal Bhandari to manage leadership and administrative affairs of Nepal Red Cross Society. The cabinet further approved the use of National Forest area for 4 hydropower projects, the Lower Arun, Lower Nyadi, Ghunsa Khola and Tadi Khola projects.
पहिला कृषि वन तथा पर्यावरण मन्त्रालयबाट छ तल्लो अरुण जलविद्युत आयोजना लोअर न्यादी खोला जलविद्युत आयोजना घुन्सा खोला जलविद्युत आयोजना र तादी खोला जलविद्युत आयोजनालाई राष्ट्रिय वन क्षेत्र प्रयोग गर्न स्वीकृति दिने दोस्रोमा सामान्य प्रशासन मन्त्रालयबाट छ निजामती सेवा 16औं संशोधन नियमावली 2083 स्वीकृत गर्ने अर्को महिला मन्त्रालयबाट छ श्री विशाल कुमार भण्डारी दोलखाको अध्यक्षतामा नेपाल रेड क्रस सोसाइटीको 9 सदस्यीय तदर्थ समिति गठन गर्ने र अन्त्यमा छ पूर्व गृहमन्त्री एवं प्रतिनिधि सभा सदस्य माननीय सुदन गुरुङको सम्बन्धमा अध्ययन तथा छानबिन गर्न गठित समितिले पेश गरेको प्रतिवेदन ग्रहण गर्ने.
Nepal's House of Representatives meeting was stalled again today after opposition parties obstructed proceedings, preventing the session from entering its agenda. As soon as the meeting began, opposition lawmakers stood in protest, objecting to Prime Minister Balendra Shah's remarks on Nepal-India border encroachment. They demanded that the Prime Minister clarify and correct his statement in Parliament. Despite repeated requests from the Speaker, the protesting lawmakers continued their disruption. During the protests, representatives from major opposition parties expressed their views, demanding not only a clarification from the Prime Minister, but also the resignation of the Finance Minister over alleged changes in tax rates. Lawmakers Nishkal Rai of Nepali Congress, Chitiz Thebe of CPN-UML, Mahendra Bahadur Shahi of CPN-UML, Khushbu Oli of RPP and Harka Sampang of Shram Sanskriti Party participated in the protest. They reiterated their demand for a correction of the Prime Minister's statement on the border issue. The Ministry of Information and Communication has recorded mixed progress in budget execution in the current fiscal year 2082-83 BS. Of the total allocation of Rupees 7.91 billion, the Ministry of Information and Communication has spent 50.88% so far, amounting to roughly $59.3 million. Under current expenditure, 63.58% of the allocated 5.95 billion rupees has been utilized, which is approximately $44.6 million. At the meeting, Minister Bikram Timal Sinha directed subordinate bodies to improve service delivery and adopt a results-oriented approach.
हामी जागिर खाइरहेका छौं भन्ने मानसिकताबाट चाहिँ उठ्नु पर्यो र हामी चाहिँ राष्ट्र निर्माणमा लागिरहेका छौं. जसरी सम्पूर्ण सरकारी कर्मचारीहरूलाई राष्ट्र सेवक भनिन्छ नि, हो साँचो अर्थमा हामी राष्ट्र र जनताको सेवक हो भन्ने चाहिँ अर्थ त्यो जनताले अनुभूत गर्ने गरी त्यो दिन सकियो भनेदेखि मेरो हिसाबमा धेरै समस्याहरू यो टेक्निकल निटिग्रिटीहरू छोडेर पनि समस्याका समाधानहरू हुन्छन्.
We're going for a short break here. More news coming up. Do stay with us. watching NTV World and this is Primetime News. Welcome back. Nepal has implemented emergency measures to contain bird flu outbreaks across multiple districts. According to Department of Livestock Services, about 515,000 poultry birds from 72 farms across 10 districts have been culled so far after confirmation of the H5N1 virus. Officials said rapid response teams have been deployed, while around 700,000 eggs and 183 tons of poultry feed have also been destroyed as part of containment efforts. Director General Dr. Umesh Dahal said the virus initially detected in Jhapa, Morang and Sunsari has now spread to areas including Kathmandu Valley, Bhaktapur, Lalitpur and Nawalparasi via several districts. He also said the disease is incurable and stressed that culling infected poultry remains the most effective control measure. Authorities have identified Kathmandu Valley as particularly vulnerable, although the situation is reported to be largely under control in Chitwan and other affected areas. Farmers whose poultry are destroyed will be allowed to resume production after 2 months and are eligible for compensation covering 75% of production costs under existing regulations. For generations, Nepal's hills have been known for their terraced farms and rich harvests. Today, many farmers say an unexpected competitor is winning the battle for their crops, monkeys. Aprila Kisinglama with Samriddhi Karki reports.
Crop-breeding monkeys are becoming a growing challenge across Nepal's hills and farmlands, turning what was once a local agricultural issue into a matter of national concern. Lawmakers, agricultural experts, and government officials are increasingly alarmed by the impact of human-wildlife conflict, particularly in the country's mid-hill regions, where more than 60% of farming households are reported to suffer significant crop losses due to monkeys. The problem has become so severe that some farmers are abandoning cultivation altogether, while others are considering leaving their ancestral villages. This has made the matter worse as the barren land has grown jungle where the menaces prosper. Farmers say the animals not only destroy crops but are increasingly entering homes and, in some cases, attacking people. The issue had become so pressing that the federal parliament meetings have been obstructed, demanding immediate solution. Experts warn of the problem worsening as monkeys have adapted well in human vicinity, making farms and villages increasingly vulnerable. In response, the government formed a special task force to study ways of reducing losses caused by monkeys and other wildlife. The team is studying options such as improved compensation and crop insurance schemes, community-based warning systems, and the use of technology and international-based practices to reduce wildlife-related damage. With crop losses mounting and some families being forced to abandon farming, pressure is growing for a sustainable solution to one of Nepal's most pressing rural challenges.
Moving on, Nepal has declared the next 10 years as the decade for promoting domestic employment. Speaking at the 114th International Labour Organization Conference in Geneva, Minister for Youth, Labour and Employment Ramji Yadav said the government has adopted a 10-year action plan to build a productive and inclusive labour market for Nepali youth. Yadav said artificial intelligence, climate change and changing labour dynamics are creating new challenges and could widen inequality and skill gaps without proper planning. He told delegates Nepal is investing in AI infrastructure, digital startups and remote work while preparing its first national care economy policy and advancing labour law reforms. The minister added Nepal has a zero-tolerance policy toward labour exploitation and forced labour and is digitizing its migration system to ensure fair recruitment, wages and worker protection. He also called for greater international cooperation to promote dignified employment and safe migration.
Actually, we stand at a critical moment where labour markets are being reshaped by technological innovation, artificial intelligence, climate change, labor mobility, and new patterns of production. And these forces are transforming our workplaces, economies, and societies. If deliberate action is not taken, these forces may deepen inequalities, widen skills gaps, perpetuate informality, and leave many workers without protection. Therefore, the central question before us is how do we advance human dignity, social justice, and decent work? And this calls for a meaningful tripartite cooperation and a strong ILO.
The military museum established within the premises of Palpa Darbar Museum has recently become a major attraction for both domestic and international tourists. The museum was in fact established to showcase the history, contributions and proud traditions of Nepal Army. Since its opening, the number of visitors has been steadily increasing. Founded in 2021, which is 2078 BS, with the objective of strengthening military-civilian relations, the museum houses historical documents, weapons, uniforms, photographs, artillery pieces, medals and various military artifacts associated with both former Royal Nepal Army and the present Nepali Army. The museum also features video presentations and documentaries depicting historical events related to Anglo-Nepal War. These exhibits help educate younger generations about the history, bravery and nation-building contributions of Nepali Army. It has since become an additional attraction within the historic Palpa Darbar complex, with many visitors to the palace also touring the museum. The collection of historic weapons, military uniforms and artifacts offers visitors a glimpse into Nepal's military past while fostering interest in history. International news coming up next. For now, a short breather. The United States has updated its list of Chinese companies it says are linked to or aiding China's military, adding major firms including Alibaba, Baidu and BYD. The list issued by the U.S. Defense Department also includes Tencent, pharmaceutical company Wuxi AppTec and robotics startup Unitree. Two memory chip makers, Changxin Memory Technologies and Yangtze Memory Technologies, were reinstated after previously being removed from an earlier version of the list. U.S. officials described the update as a warning to American businesses and government bodies, urging caution in dealings with named firms. The move comes weeks after President Donald Trump met Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, with both sides seeking to maintain stable relations. While the designation carries limited immediate legal consequences, it could pave the way for further restrictions. The updated list is expected to add pressure to already strained U.S.-China economic relations. China, meanwhile, has strongly opposed the latest U.S. decision to blacklist Chinese companies, including major firms Alibaba and Baidu, over alleged links to Chinese military. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Jin Lian said Beijing firmly opposed what he called the U.S. generalization of national security and unreasonable suppression of Chinese companies, urging Washington to correct its actions.
保持连续，中方一贯坚决反对美方泛化国家安全概念，画设各类名目的歧视性清单，无理打压中国企业。我们敦促美方纠正错误做法，停止对中国企业的无理打压行径。中方将采取必要措施，坚定维护中国企业的正当合法权益。
Lin also warned that China may take necessary measures to protect the rights of its companies. Moving on, authorities in the Philippines say the death toll from a powerful 8.2 magnitude earthquake has risen to 37, with more than 400 people injured. The quake struck near Mindanao, causing extensive damage to buildings, roads and public infrastructure. Officials reported around 1,000 aftershocks, prompting warnings of further tremors in affected areas. Rescue teams continued search and relief operations as 4 people remain missing. Power and communication services were disrupted in several locations, while schools and transport facilities also sustained damage. Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has ordered emergency agencies to accelerate relief and recovery efforts. Emergency crews in Ukraine's Kharkiv region have been responding to fires and damaged buildings following Russian strikes. Ukrainian authorities said at least 3 people were killed and 15 others injured in the attacks. Firefighters worked to contain multiple blazes while rescue teams searched affected areas for survivors. Kharkiv, located near the Russian border, has faced repeated attacks throughout the war. Moscow has not immediately commented on the latest strikes. The attacks add to ongoing concerns over civilian safety and damage to infrastructure in eastern Ukraine. More international news and sports update coming up next. For now, a short break. Israeli warplanes have struck the southern Lebanese city of Tyre after the military issued a rare evacuation warning covering the entire city. Lebanese state media reported the attack shortly after residents were urged to leave the area. Witnesses described heavy traffic as people fled north following the warning. The strike comes amid ongoing cross-border exchanges between Israel and armed groups in Lebanon. Regional tensions have remained high as violence continues on multiple fronts. There was no immediate information on casualties from the attack. Health officials in Gaza say hospitals continue to face severe shortages of medicines, fuel and essential supplies amid the ongoing war. Medical facilities have struggled to cope with the growing number of casualties and displaced people seeking treatment. Aid agencies warn that limited humanitarian access is worsening conditions for patients and healthcare workers. Israeli authorities say restrictions are linked to security concerns, while humanitarian groups have called for increased aid deliveries. The United Nations has repeatedly warned of a deepening health emergency in the territory. Efforts to provide assistance remain complicated by continued fighting. Chinese President Xi Jinping and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un have reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening ties between their countries. During a meeting on Tuesday, both leaders pledged to deepen cooperation and preserve their long-standing friendship. Xi and Kim, accompanied by their spouses, paid tribute at the China DPRK Friendship Tower. The leaders honored Chinese soldiers who fought during the Korean War and stressed the importance of maintaining shared historical memory. They also agreed to promote educational programs aimed at younger generations. The meeting underscored continuing political and diplomatic coordination between Beijing and Pyongyang. "24 Indian sailors have been rescued after a merchant tanker was struck in a missile attack off the coast of Oman. Indian and Omani authorities coordinated the operation through maritime rescue agencies in the region. Officials said all crew members were brought to safety and no injuries or fatalities were reported. The vessel was later anchored near Oman's Masira Island for further assessment. The incident highlights ongoing security concerns in regional waters amid heightened tensions. Authorities praised the swift response that ensured the safe evacuation of the crew. And with that, we move on to sports update. Iran's Nepal's Football Federation has said its allocated fan ticket quota for the World Cup group stage had been revoked just days before the tournament began. The competition, co-hosted by Canada, Mexico and the US, was scheduled to start on Thursday, with Iran set to play matches in Los Angeles and Seattle. The federation stated that FIFA regulations normally granted each team 8% of tickets per match for supporters, but said it could no longer distribute tickets that had already been put on sale. It criticized the decision, calling it unfair and against the spirit of international competition. It also urged FIFA to uphold neutrality and fairness in the tournament. Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Government expands its Council of Ministers. 2 ministers sworn in. Sudhan Gurung returns as Home Minister. Opposition MPs stall today's House meeting. Lawmakers reiterate the Prime Minister correct remarks on border issues. Authorities roll out measures to contain bird flu in Kathmandu Valley. More than 500,000 poultry culled in across multiple districts. Farmers of Nepal badly affected by monkey and wildlife attacks on crops and livelihoods. Government form a task force to find long-term solutions. US expands Chinese company blacklist, adding major firms including Alibaba, Baidu and BYD. China strongly opposes the move. And Iran says FIFA revoked its supporter ticket allocation just days before World Cup began. Calls the move unfair. That's it for this edition of Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and also get the latest update from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu. Public Service Broadcasting, PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
When it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, when it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, the fox's fiance puts on her wedding gown. The fox's fiance puts on her wedding gown. When it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, when it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, it's time for the fox to tie all his locks. It's time for the fox to tie all his locks. And get hitched with Miss Fox. And get hitched with Miss Fox. Together with his sweetheart, he sits in a golden car. Together with his sweetheart, he sits in a golden car. And a big lizard dressed like a wizard becomes a priest. And he says, the two of you shall not part. The two of you shall not part. The elephant trumpets and the deer drums. The raccoons shake their rattles. And his guitar, the tiger strums. And his guitar, the tiger strums. All of the frogs come in a parade, and the bears are in a masquerade. And the bears are in a masquerade, spreading their tails, the peacocks dance, and all the horses are in a happy prance. And all the horses are in a happy prance. A bunch of starlings make a sign of love in the air. A bunch of starlings make a sign of love in the air. But all the monkeys don't give a monkey's about this whole affair. But all the monkeys don't give a monkey's about this whole affair. When it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, when it's a sunny day and the rain is
This is The World This Week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. This is me, Bhavna Casey, and in this edition, we bring you the stories making headlines across the globe. From high-stakes meet to major political developments, geopolitical tensions, cultural celebrations, and remarkable feats. We have all that you need. Let's begin with developments on the Middle East crisis, where tensions continue across Gaza, Lebanon, Israel and Iran amid ongoing conflict and halted diplomacy. Fighting and political tensions involving Gaza, Lebanon, Israel, Iran and other regional actors remain at the center of global attention, with continued military operations, humanitarian challenges and diplomatic efforts still failing to produce a fruitful settlement. The Middle East continues to remain at the center of the global attention as the violence, humanitarian concerns and diplomatic tensions continue across Gaza, Lebanon, Israel and Iran. Tensions along the Israel-Lebanon border have intensified. A U.S.-brokered ceasefire agreement between Israel and Lebanon has faced major obstacles after Hezbollah rejected key terms of the deal. Israeli forces have continued operations in southern Lebanon while cross-border attacks and security concerns persist. Iran also remains deeply involved in regional developments. Tehran has warned that continued military actions in Gaza and Lebanon could undermine the ongoing diplomatic efforts. Negotiations between Iran and the United States have stalled, raising concerns about broader regional stability and the future of security arrangements in the Gulf. The continuing conflict has also affected global energy markets. Uncertainty surrounding the Strait of Hormuz and broader regional security has contributed to concerns about well supplies and international trade. While in Gaza, military operations and airstrikes have continued despite repeated calls for a lasting ceasefire. Humanitarian agencies have warned that civilians are facing severe shortages of food, medicine, and basic services, while reconstruction efforts remain largely halted. Reports indicate that fighting and instability continue to affect large parts of the territory, and as fighting continues on several fronts, millions of civilians across the region remain caught between conflict, displacement, and economic hardship. In the United States, divisions over the Iran conflict are deepening as the House of Representatives moves to curb President Donald Trump's war powers.
The U.S. House of Representatives has passed a measure that seeks to halt President Donald Trump from taking further military action in Iran. The 215 to 208 vote, which is largely symbolic, was successful after 4 Republicans joined Democrats in a public show of disapproval of the war, which began in February.
On this vote, the yeas are 215 and the nays are 208. The concurrent resolution is adopted.
The vote was to adopt the War Powers Resolution, which requires Trump to withdraw U.S. forces or seek congressional approval for the conflict. It is unclear how much legal force this House measures would have. The White House has dismissed the merits of the resolution, saying it is an unconstitutional attempt to restrict presidential power. But its passing is significant because it adds to the pressure on the White House to find an end to the Iran war, as petrol prices have spiked and public opposition to the war has increased. This was the 4th attempt by the House to rein in Trump's war powers. The Senate advanced a similar resolution in May, but has yet to hold a full floor vote. The vote also marked the latest sign of division within Trump's Republican Party, coming just days after a revolt by conservatives in Congress led his administration to pull back plans for $1.8 billion anti-weaponization funds for political allies.
In Europe, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has renewed calls for direct talks with Vladimir Putin in a bid to end the Russia-Ukraine war.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for a face-to-face meeting between himself and Vladimir Putin in a renewed bid to end the war. In an open letter to the Russian president, the Ukrainian leader said it would be wrong to simply wait until the war in Europe becomes the focus of the US's attention once more, adding peace could only come through direct engagement between Ukraine and Russia. The Kremlin confirmed it had received the letter and Putin would be briefed on it. The tone of the letter was defiant, even mocking, drawing attention to Ukraine's recent strikes on Russian territory. Zelensky stated that after 26 years in power, age is beginning to take its toll on Putin. Putin said he was certainly prepared and willing to reach an agreement with Ukraine, but said compromises needed to be made. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump says it would be great for Vladimir Zelensky to meet Vladimir Putin after the Ukrainian president proposed face-to-face talks with the Russian leader.
Well, I don't know. I'm glad that they're maybe talking about meeting. I think we had a lot to do with it. I know exactly what you're doing. But I think it would be great if they met. They should get it done.
Meanwhile, Putin suggested that as Trump was busy with Iran, the EU could talk Zelensky into surrendering territory. Putin's long-standing position has been that Ukraine should withdraw from 4 regions largely occupied by Russia, Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia, and give up its efforts to join NATO. Ukraine has ruled out ceding territory, saying it would embolden Russia to invade again, as it had in 2022 when it launched its full-scale war 8 years after illegally annexing Crimea. Ceasefire negotiations have stalled in recent months, and previous peace talks in Geneva, Abu Dhabi, and Istanbul have failed.
In South Asia, India's central bank has left interest rates unchanged despite the Middle East conflict threatening to stoke inflation and heap pressure on a weak rupee. The Reserve Bank of India held its policy rate steady and unveiled steps to pull in dollars, seeking to shore up an embattled rupee as the economy grapples with costly well and foreign outflows. The measures include scrapping capital gains tax for foreign holders of government bonds, sweetening dollar deposit schemes for non-resident Indians, and subsidizing hazing costs for offshore borrowing. Governor Sanjay Malhotra, while announcing the policy decision, said RBI's rate panel voted unanimously to keep the policy repo rate unchanged at 5.25%.
After a detailed assessment of the evolving macroeconomic and financial developments and the outlook, the MPC voted unanimously to keep the policy repo rate under the LAF unchanged at 5.25%.
Malhotra further said the panel felt it was prudent to wait until greater clarity emerges.
Although risks of higher inflation have amplified, the MPC felt it would be prudent to wait for greater clarity to emerge.
Surge in crude prices and record foreign fund outflows have pushed the rupee down nearly 5% to historic lows since the Middle East conflict erupted late in February, fueling calls from some analysts for higher rates to defend the currency. Indonesia, the Philippines, and Sri Lanka have raised interest rates in recent weeks, while South Korea has held fire but signaled a turn is imminent. As the world marked World Environment Day, climate experts are warning that a developing El Niño could trigger more extreme weather, including heat waves, droughts, and floods across the globe. Experts forecast that the developing El Niño in the tropical Pacific Ocean could be one of the strongest on record, increasing the likelihood of global weather disruptions. Meteorological agencies and climate researchers say rising ocean temperatures linked to the phenomenon are likely to intensify global heat waves, prolong drought conditions in vulnerable areas, and trigger heavier rainfall and flooding elsewhere. Scientists have cautioned that the weather system could place additional pressure on food production, water supplies, and energy networks already strained by climate change. El Niño occurs when sea surface temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific Ocean rise above normal levels, disrupting atmospheric circulation and altering weather patterns worldwide. Previous strong El Niño events have been associated with severe flooding in parts of South America, droughts in Australia, Southeast Asia, and South Asia, and record-breaking global temperatures. Forecasters say current ocean warming trends indicate the developing system may rival some of the most powerful El Niño episodes recorded in recent decades. The warning comes as several countries continue to experience unusually high temperatures and increasingly erratic seasonal weather conditions. A record number of climbers have reached the summit of Mount Everest this season as the climbing season comes to an end. The season has drawn global attention due to concerns over overcrowding, record-breaking ascents, and a dramatic survival rescue near the base camp. A record number of climbers have reached the summit of Mount Everest this season, officials say, as the climbing window draws to a close with multiple record-breaking ascents. Nepal government's officials report that more than 900 climbers have reached the world's tallest peak, taking advantage of favorable weather conditions. Veteran Nepali climber Kamirita Sherpa, who recently completed a record 32nd summit of Everest, has renewed concerns about overcrowding on the mountain, saying this season felt a bit crowded and calling for stricter limits on climber numbers and higher expedition standards. Lakpa Sherpa, known as the Mountain Queen, set a women's record with her 11th summit, further highlighting a season marked by historic achievements. In a separate incident, a Nepali climbing guide who had been missing on Everest for 6 days and feared dead was found alive after crawling alone back towards the base camp. Dawa Sherpa was last seen above Camp 3 at around 7,500 meters height while coming down from the mountain after summiting. Hopes for his survival were slim as the air at that altitude is thin, but on Thursday, a clearing crew spotted the experienced climber who had frostbite on his hands but appeared to be in good condition, sliding slowly down. Meanwhile, 5 persons have died so far during this year's climbing season. 3 of them are Nepalis who were involved in the Everest expedition preparations. China's Shenzhou 2 crew has returned safely to the Earth after an extended 7-month mission aboard the Tiangong space station following a disrupted rotation cycle.
China's Shenzhou 21 crew has returned safely to Earth aboard the Shenzhou 22 after spending around 7 months in orbit aboard the Tiangong space station, a longer stay than the usual 6-month rotation for crews. In recent years, missions to China's space station have typically followed a steady rhythm, with teams of 3 astronauts rotating in and out roughly every half year to maintain continuous operation and scientific work on the station. However, this mission cycle was disrupted after a suspected space debris impact damaged the return capsule of Shenzhou 20, making it unsafe for re-entry. In response, China launched the uncrewed Shenzhou 22 late last year on an urgent replacement mission to ensure a safe return option for the stranded crew, who were later brought back using Shenzhou 21. More recently, Shenzhou 23 was launched on May 24 with a new team of 3 astronauts, continuing the station's ongoing rotation schedule and restoring the regular cadence of crew handovers. The sequence of missions highlights both the risks of orbital debris and the flexibility of China's rapid response space operations.
Eid al-Adha celebrations in Bangladesh took a surprising turn after a viral albino buffalo nicknamed Donald Trump for its unusual appearance was spared from sacrifice and instead sent to the National Zoo following widespread public attention. A buffalo in Bangladesh nicknamed Donald Trump because of its unusual flowing blonde hair has been spared from sacrifice after gaining widespread attention. The 700-kilogram buffalo is a rare albino buffalo with a thick pale tuft of hair that naturally forms a helmet-like style closely resembling the distinctive hairstyle of Donald Trump. The animal was originally said to be slaughtered for Eid al-Adha, a religious festival where animals are traditionally sacrificed and the meat shared among family and those in need. However, after photos and videos of the buffalo went viral, public interest grew and calls to protect it increased. As a result, authorities decided to spare the buffalo. Instead of being sacrificed, it will now be cared at the National Zoo, where it will be kept under supervision and maintained as part of the country's animal collection. The case has drawn attention both locally and online, highlighting how an animal's unusual appearance and viral fame can change its fate. More than 1,800 people named O'Sullivan or Sullivan gathered in Ireland, setting a Guinness World Record for the largest assembly of people sharing the same surname and celebrating their shared heritage.
Over 1,800 people named O'Sullivan or Sullivan from across Ireland and around the world gathered in Castletownbere, County Cork, to break the Guinness World Record for the largest assembly of people sharing the same surname. The record, officially verified by Guinness, was previously held by a gathering of Gallaghers, also in Ireland. The event featured live music, traditional food, and family activities, drawing participants of all ages who travelled from as far as the United States, Australia, and Canada. Organizers said the gathering was not only about setting a record, but also celebrating the rich history and heritage of the O'Sullivan clan. Officials praised the community spirit, calling the event a remarkable testament to the bonds of family and culture. The successful record attempt is expected to boost tourism and strengthen connections among members of the global Irish diaspora. Participants described the occasion as a once-in-a-lifetime celebration of identity, ancestry, and community pride.
Thousands of spectators gathered on Hong Kong's island as the annual Bon Festival reached its climax, with finalists climbing a 14-meter tall tower covered in thousands of buns in the traditional Bon scrambling competition. The annual Bon Festival has been held in Hong Kong, where 12 finalists competed in the traditional Bon scrambling competition by climbing a 14-meter high tower covered with around 9,000 plastic steamed buns. The competition, regarded as the highlight of the centuries-old festival, drew thousands of spectators to the island as contestants raced against the clock to collect the highest-scoring buns placed near the top of the structure. Organizers said the event was conducted under strict safety supervision, with emergency crews and crowd control teams deployed throughout the venue. The cultural celebration, one of Hong Kong's most recognized folk festivals, also featured line dances, light displays, parades, and community performances, creating a festive atmosphere across the island. Rooted in Taoist traditions, the Bon Festival is held annually to mark prayers for peace, prosperity, and protection from misfortune. The event has also become a major tourism attraction in Hong Kong, blending religious customs with large-scale public festivities and drawing global attention for its unique Bon climbing contest. Hundreds of Sri Lankan Buddhists mark Baishak, one of Buddhism's most sacred festivals, with prayers, offerings, and sermons celebrating the birth, enlightenment, and passing of Gautama Buddha.
Hundreds of Sri Lankan Buddhists have gathered at the Kelaniya Buddhist temple to mark Vesak, one of the most sacred festivals in Buddhism. The occasion commemorates the birth, enlightenment, and passing of the Buddha, making it a deeply significant spiritual event for devotees across the country. Worshippers dressed in white took part in religious observances, prayers, and offerings at the temple, while monks delivered sermons reflecting on compassion, mindfulness, and the teachings of the Buddha. The atmosphere was both devotional and celebratory, with large crowds moving through the temple grounds throughout the day. In other parts of the city, streets and public spaces were transformed with colorful lanterns, illuminated displays, and decorative pandals depicting scenes from Buddhist stories. These vibrant displays are a long-standing Vesak tradition in Sri Lanka, symbolizing light, peace, and the sharing of the Buddha's message with the wider community.
The International Fireworks Festival has opened in Vietnam, kicking off a series of global competitions as teams from around the world light up the Han River with synchronized displays of music and fireworks.
The opening night of the Da Nang International Fireworks Festival has officially begun. Recognized by Travel Plus Leisure magazine as one of the 9 most worthwhile summer festivals on the planet, this year's Da Nang International Fireworks Festival promises a dramatic season with the participation of 10 competing teams from around the world. Vietnam and China are the 2 opening teams, while the Vietnam team aims to transform the Han River into a space that tells the story of the vibrant city through light. The Chinese team presents a performance titled Flower of the Orient. The performance offers audiences a vibrant picture of life and the aspiration for connection between humankind and nature, taking them on a journey through masterpieces of light, music, and art. Following the opening night, the competitions will take place every Saturday evening.
Well, this brings us to the end of this episode of The World This Week. We hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing it to you. Also, do follow us on our website www.nepaltelevision.com, our social media handles, as well as our YouTube channel. Till then, take care and bye-bye.
Annapurna Circuit Trek features in world's 10 best destinations and adventures. The trekking circuit is the choice of many trekkers as it offers both adventure, along with mesmerizing view of mountain ranges. Arguably the best trekking circuit in the world, travelers get up close with dozens of mountains including the Annapurna, Dhaulagiri, Nilgiri. Annapurna circuit ideally is a 14-day trek. The circuit passes through Lamjung, Manang, Mustang and Myagdi district, including Thorangla Pass as the highest point. Places including Thampus, Ghandruk and Poon Hill are part of this trekking circuit. The revered Muktinath shrine is also part of the circuit. Only foreigners were seen in this circuit few years back, but now domestic tourists are also flocking the area. If you are looking for a lifetime trekking experience, then pack your bags for Annapurna trekking circuit. Mardi Base Camp Trek, also part of the Annapurna circuit, is another alternative route for trekkers who can't afford time. Trekkers can be up close with mountains including the Annapurna range, Dhaulagiri, Machapuchre and Manasalu in this circuit. This 7-day circuit is attracting many trekkers for obvious reasons.
Only after 6 decades of the institutional development of the now popular game of cricket did Nepal get the opportunity to play in the World Cup. Although cricket was introduced in Nepal during the Rana regime, the sport was confined to a limited number of people, namely the elite. It all started with equipment brought by students returning from their studies in Britain and India. Although Cricket Association of Nepal (CAN) was established in 1947, cricket remained centered among a few affluent individuals and in limited tournaments for a long time. Starting with the Bishnu Trophy in 1948, tournaments were limited to competitions like the Madan Memorial Sealed, Jugal Kishore Trophy, Rammani Trophy and later the Jai Trophy. Even as the sport expanded outside Kathmandu Valley, it took decades for cricket to develop at the grassroots level. After the International Cricket Council (ICC) granted Nepal affiliate membership in 1988, Nepali cricket embarked on its international journey. The rule of mandatory participation in tournaments by the ICC and the Asian Cricket Council (ACC) opened doors to international competition for Nepal. After participating in the Under-19 Asian tournament in Hong Kong in 1996, Nepal has not looked back. Winning titles at the Asian and global levels, Nepali cricket team continues its journey towards the pinnacle of world cricket.
Goes down the ground because he was given that line outside off stump, so the first boundary of the contest, a handsome one.
Initially confined to Tulikhel in Kathmandu, many international tournaments were hosted in Nepal after an international standard ground was built in Kirtipur. Nepal has also shown its proactiveness in differently abled cricket tournaments like the T20 World Cup for the blind in 2012 and the Asian Cricket Tournament for the deaf. Nepali women's national cricket team has also achieved remarkable success in a short period of time. The latest addition in Nepali cricket is the floodlit Tribhuvan University Cricket Stadium and the Nepal Premier League that has provided opportunity for Nepali players to rub shoulders with world-class players.
Music, dance, food, art and devotion are the lifeblood of Newar culture, an ancient civilization rooted in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra.
Whatever music all over the world is I think it's a universal language, and basically when it comes to musicians like us, we really get connected when somebody or from some part of music from different part of the world can go well together, and we can do so many different things, because we come from different culture, we come from different perspectives in life,
We started jamming together, and then we were asked to play a festival at the Patan Museum called the Namlo Music Festival, Music and Heritage Festival, I believe it was called. And so we were asked to do that, and I said, okay, I'll put together a band with Prince. And then he called his old buddies from when he grew up jamming with them. I would play a bluegrass tune, and then they would say, oh, that sort of goes like this Nepali tune. And we would just go from one to the other, and then I would show them my songs, and we would do that. So that was 3 years ago now.
Joy and Prince has already said about it. Actually, they both first met each other. I mean, Joy knew Prince's father back in the US, and I was a struggling musician in Kathmandu, and I was friend with Mr. Prince Nepali, and we used to play in some other different bands as well. And once Joy and Prince, they both met, and Prince was like, are you interested in doing something new, something different rather than rock and pop music? What about some fusions and bluegrass and folk music? And he challenged me like, do you want to do it or not? And I was like, okay, I'm up for it. And then actually it's that kind of story.
Actually, I'm planning I haven't done any production or anything like this with this instrument, so I'm actually planning for trying to fuse a different instrument and get some production of different percussion instrument and our traditional composition, not just Tibet. There are also different instruments like chi, ta, and different folk instruments as well. So I think Also, I'm planning like to get collaborated with different folk artists and the traditional drummers to bring them together and then make some compositions or just play the already composed things and just make out some videos and then share it with, maybe on some social platforms like this.
The music that we are doing right now is like a crossover between American bluegrass music and Nepali folk music. And actually, first of all, we came up with an idea of just playing with each other, just jamming together. And we found out that, okay, so this could work very nicely together. So I'm using like a traditional instrument, sarangi, and we're combining this with the mandolin that comes from the US and the bluegrass music. And I think my idea is basically to present it like my folk culture and my traditional songs, and also like go together with the American music. I've been very fortunate and blessed to be born in such like musical family. So being a fourth generation, I think I never felt the pressure. First of all, because I enjoyed what I was doing, and then more than that, I think it's basically the kind of fun that I have with music, and I think there's some different intimacy between me and music, So I really enjoyed what I was doing, and I really had great fun. So I've been working on different projects and trying to inspire the youth at the moment in my life. So I have this project called Sarangi Ghar, where I basically have like classes. We also have the store. We do produce sarangi, and I think it's also encourages me to explore with the instrument itself, and the culture itself, because it's so beautiful. And like Nepal being so rich in culture and tradition, I want to like collaborate with different artists, folk artists in Nepal, and all from the world actually, and create different kind of new music with different caste and ethnic groups here in Nepal. They also have their own traditional instruments, folk instrument, And I think you must like find a way to have fun with it actually, and then I think more than anything else, actually, the youths can just enjoy what they have been like with the music itself, and I really actually want them to explore Nepali music more, Youth can basically have like an opportunity where they can just go explore, find an instrument. We have tungna, we have sarangi, we have many other instruments. Like if you go in the western part of Nepal, you have like far western part, you have hudke baza, and there's lots of binayo and everything. And I find panche baza is interesting as well. So, everybody can explore like whatever interest they have. They don't have to take it very professionally. They can just enjoy with it actually. Himalayan Highway is like it's a music that's crossed between the Nepali folk and American bluegrass music. So today we'll be presenting mostly the fusion of like the instrumental thing, and we will be singing a few of our original songs. So yeah, I hope you'll enjoy.
चिसो हावासँग यो मेरो मनको भावनाहरूलाई सररा उडाइ लाग्यो चिसो हावासँग यो मेरो मनको चाहनाहरूलाई
पानी परेको बादलहरू अझै पनि माथि माथि घामको न्यानो स्पर्शसँगै इन्द्रेणीको रङ्ग पनि त्यही सरररा उडाइलाग्यो चिसो हावासँग यो मेरो मनको बनाहरूलाई सरररा उडाइलाग्यो चिसो हावासँग यो मेरो मनको चाहनाहरूलाई मन मेरो खुला आकाशै भरिएको छ जुन र ताराले आफ्नो खुसी यहाँ आफै खुसी उडी जान्छु हावा बनी सरररा उडाइलाग्यो चिसो हावासँग यो मेरो मनको भावनाहरूलाई सरररा उडाइलाग्यो चिसो हावासँग यो मेरो मनको चाहनाहरूलाई मेरो मनको चाहनाहरूलाई मेरो मनको चाहनाहरूलाई
Actually, our first name was Manaslu Blue. The blue was for bluegrass, and then Manaslu was for Nepal. But then I was about a year in, I was brainstorming with my parents, and our goal with the band is to bring it abroad. I come from my perspective of American folk music, and these guys bring their wonderful Nepali folk music. And I think the goal of the band is to share this amazing fusion and to show people especially how amazing Nepali folk music is and how much we can do these cross-cultural collaborations. But the thing about Manaslu Blue is that no one outside of Nepal knows the mountain Manaslu. So then I was thinking with my dad, and somehow we came to Himalayan Highway. Highway is a very American thing, and there are a lot of bluegrass bands, Blue Highway, Golden Highway, so it's a common name. And then we thought Himalayan to talk about Nepal and the region. Well, first of all, I just fell in love with Nepali culture. I love momos, I love dal bhat, I love it all. I love this beautiful country. We want to show more people the beautifulness of Nepal. I think that from my perspective, I love Nepali folk music, but in this country, sometimes people haven't valued it. They've looked to the West for other influences. And so one of our goals is to bring up Nepali folk and fusing it. We're not just doing pure folk music, but to show that this is a vibrant, evolving history and tradition that is still relevant today. And then I also think to people abroad, and especially to Nepalis, I want to show them that they can take their instruments and their culture and they can bring it to the world, and that it's so amazing. I mean, everyone who I know maybe they don't know so much about Nepal, maybe the only thing they know is that Mount Everest is there. But then once they try a momo, once they hear some music, then they love it. And so we want to just share this music with more people and share the cross-cultural collaboration.
Cause all day I chug way after work and try to shove down all of the hurt. But sometimes at the end, does it fade on the page and my eyes just run a glaze? Let it burn and I sing hallelujah, 'cause I can finally feel something instead of just nothing at all. And is there ever an end to this breathless whirlwind? Is there even a point of it all? 'Cause at the end of the day, we're just us back in the fray on this rugged, snowy road. I'm on fire, and I sing hallelujah. Let it burn, and I sing hallelujah, 'cause I can finally feel something instead of just nothing at all. And I sing hallelujah. I'm on fire, and I sing let it burn, and I say hallelujah, 'cause I can finally feel something instead of just nothing at all. There's a guy on the stage, and he's playing the guitar the wrong way around, and I also have to tell you that that's not his main instrument, in fact. His main instrument is the piano, but he also slays at the guitar. That's Mr. Enes Tamang.
Nowadays, I think many young generations, upcoming generations, like they are more over into like different. I mean, it doesn't mean to demean it, but people are more over into different kind of music rather than our own cultural music. And I think promoting like this, like promoting through our own traditional instrument like sarangi and tabla, and maybe fusing it. Of course, it's not like we don't utilize the Western culture. Also, we utilize it, but we should not forget like our own roots, our own culture. So yeah, I think it's important so that we could carry the legacy as well of our own musical instruments and our own culture as well. Our brand is like, it's like the main goal is to like, of course, promoting the folk culture, our own tradition and culture music, and with a unique taste, of course, as mentioned earlier. And I want to encourage you all to do music, like never give up. Like in some point of life, like we are doing it as a professionally, and some people might be like demotivated, or they might be like in confusion also whether should they pursue the music as their career or not. But I suggest them just do it. I know there is going to be ups and downs, there is going to be struggle, a lot of struggles, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And yes, of course, don't forget to promote their own culture as we are doing. We just wrote a song like few days ago, and it was so random, but it turned out so beautiful. It's called Samjana Bho, and it's a Nepali, like Prince wrote it. It's a Nepali song, but we are fusing it with the American bluegrass thing. Recently, it's the favorite. Not because it's just written in few days ago, but it has a very good meaning.
Story चाहिँ childhood love story को बारेमा हो, जहाँ चाहिँ दुईजना साथीहरू चाहिँ एकदमै स्कुल टाइमको लभदेखि नै धेरै अगाडि बढिसकेपछि चाहिँ एउटा पोइन्टमा चाहिँ जुन चाहिँ केटी साथी हुन्छ ऊ चाहिँ 4-5 वर्षको लभ पछि चाहिँ हराउँछ, र त्यो हराएको बेलामा चाहिँ केटाले चाहिँ धेरै थुप्रै प्रयासहरू गर्छ खोज्नलाई चाहिँ, तर कहिले पनि भेट्न सक्दैन। र पछि हिँड्दै जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ अब 5 इयर्स पास भइसकेपछि चाहिँ अगाडि गएर हिँड्दै बाटोतिर हिँड्दाखेरि चाहिँ उसले झसङ्ग एकजना चिनेको अनुहार देख्छ है। अनि चिनेको अनुहार देख्दाखेरि चाहिँ उसलाई चाहिँ अब उसले पहिला भेटेको मान्छे चाहिँ अलिकति चेन्ज भएको रहेछ, तर अगाडि जानलाई चाहिँ ऊ अगाडि बढिसकेको हुन्छ, तर त्यहाँ चाहिँ एउटा सानो बच्चाले चाहिँ त्यो केटीको हात समाएर हिँडिरहेको हुन्छ, जुन चाहिँ उसको छोरी हुन्छ। केटा चाहिँ अब अगाडि बढ्न सक्दैन, र त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ यो गीतको सुरुवात हुन्छ।
सम्झना
Well, there's one person who has actually the most microphones, but no vocal mic. He's got a master's in tabla performance, and he's just an amazing percussionist, Mr. Yusuf Maharjan.
So right now I'm using these three stone instruments. So basically, this instrument on my left side is called timbe. So this is our traditional ethnic Newari instrument. It's from Kathmandu Valley itself. Unique sound, actually. It's very bass boosted, and it's one of the very important instrument for our Kathmandu Valley, and it's used in most of the festivals. Like, you will barely see a festival where there is no timbe instrument. So I think the instrument that holds too many emotions of this valley and this country, it should be shared and should be known to the world. And so speaking about this mandal and tabla, and also with the tabla, I would say like all of these three instruments these are one of the really old instrument of the world, I would say. Like, it's more than 1,000 years old instrument. So it's already like history living and the sounding of history, So I think it's really important that the Western music that's not even more than 500 years old is being too much exposed, and yet this more old and more dynamic instrument, not just dynamic, and also the compositions, the sound, the tonal quality, this instrument really needs highlight to the world. At first, whatever generation is alive right now, so they must actually pass down this tradition and this instrument, how to play the instrument, how to blend this instrument with the different musics that's available in the world right now, let's say. To be honest, I'm really proud right now because there is not too much like musicians who are promoting our own traditional music or our instruments. Lots of Nepali people and youngsters nowadays, like they are too much into Western music, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but I think along with the Western music, I think we should also try to share our Nepali culture, Nepali music. And so this is one of our initiatives to show the world like how can we fuse Nepali folk instruments music with the American bluegrass music, and show them the new taste, how they sound with the fusion of these two different music from different worlds.
Human beings have made drastic progress in the sector of handicrafts with the development of civilization. From the Stone Age until the 21st century. These include and are not limited to works of art, sculptures, wood and metal crafts. These handicrafts have also found religious, historic, cultural and archaeological acceptance and significance. Religious texts have identified the attraction of human settlements in the mountainous region of Nepal, which has always remained an independent sovereign nation. Ramapithecus human remains found in Butwal of West Nepal clarifies that human settlement had begun in Nepal more than 10 million years ago. We find historic references of works of handicrafts made by those living in this region. Such Nepali handicrafts are artistic and useful, therefore also successful in gaining international appreciation. Instead of the modern handicrafts, Nepal is well introduced in the international community by its traditional and historic works of art and craft. Millions of tourists who visit Nepal every year observe, study and relish the traditional handicrafts available at religious shrines. The high-quality woods brought from local forests are seasoned before being carved. Nepali woodcrafts are not only popular inside the country, but also have a demand abroad and therefore are exported. In addition to sculptures of gods and goddesses, artistic doors and windows, among other furniture, are made from wood in Nepal. Best examples of Nepali woodcraft can be taken as the artistic carvings at palaces, temples and other religious shrines in Kathmandu, Lalitpur and Bhaktapur. The 6th century woodcraft present at Rudravarna Mahavihar in Okubahal of Lalitpur is considered the oldest. Nepali woodcraft continues to thrive with the creativity, dedication and effort of trained artists. Artist Punyaraj Tuladhar, popular around the world, shares his experience. Lalitpur is popular around the world for its metal craft in Nepal. Works of metal craft produced here had a great demand in countries including Bhutan, Japan, China and European nations. Metal statues are developed using two methods in Nepal: repose art and lost wax process, both widely popular around the world. Repose art is a metalworking technique in which a malleable metal, silver, copper and brass among others, is shaped by hammering from the reverse side to create a design in low relief. Small sheets of metal are cut based on required measurement to form different organs of statues before being welded together. Designs and patterns are then carved into the structure. Gold is plated in some works such as metalcraft as well. Such metal sheets are also used in the roof of temples and other religious shrines. Lost wax process is the technique by which a metal sculpture, often silver, gold, brass or bronze, is cast from an original sculpture of wax made of honeycomb. Molten metal is poured into a mold that has been created by means of a wax model. Once the mold is made, the wax model is melted and drained away. In the second phase, the metal sculpture is cleaned with different machines or equipment. After filling of the sculpture, it is then plated with gold or painted with colors based on the requirements. Most of such sculptures are found in Buddhist and Hindu religious shrines. Globally recognized senior artist Krodh Kala Shiromani Kalu Kumale shares his experience. Existing sculptures present in Nepal and at museums abroad prove that the works of sculptures have a long history in the country. Sculptures made using the lost wax process have a huge demand in China and other countries and continue to be exported. Okubahal, Nagbahal, Haugal and Tangal, among other places, are the pioneers in metal craft. Likewise, metal crafts of Tansen in Palpa, Chainpur and Bhojpur are also popular around the world. Silver filigree art of Nepal is internationally recognized. The genre, which began during the Lichavi era and grew in the Malla era, is considered quality work of art of Nepal. Attractive shapes are made from metals including silver, and precious stones are then used to create artistic objects. It is believed that works of filigree art were the first ones to be purchased by tourists. Artists speak of a huge demand of quality Nepali filigree art in the international market. Senior artist Dilliraj Shakya shares his experience. Stone art is taken as a significant category of handicrafts. Equipment including hammers is used in development of beautiful sculptures. This form of art had begun with the development of different kinds of weapons. They are strong and durable and therefore remain intact. Most of the sculptures of gods and goddesses are made from stones. Likewise, sculptures of animals, stone taps, temples, religious symbols and goods used in daily lives are also made from stone. Most of such sculptures are made from the stones found in local hills, including Hatibon, Machegao, Tika Bhairav, Godavari and Kharpa, among others. Senior artist Dharmaraj Shakya says that Nepal's stone art has a unique identity. Of the stone sculptures found so far, a sculpture of King Jaya Varma found in Harigaon and currently conserved at National Museum in Chhaoni is considered to be the oldest historic sculpture. Likewise, sculptures in Changu installed by King Mandev, another found in Tilganga near Pashupati, a sculpture of Vishnu Vikrant in Lazimpat, and the one at Budhanil Kantha are also considered historic. Sculpture of Birupaksha Kirateshwar Mahadev at Pashupati Aryaghat, Vishwaroop at Changu, Garud Sayan Vishnu sculpture, Palanchuk Bhagwati, Gazalakshmi of Lalitpur, Chashal Hiti and Krishna Mandir of Patan, among others, are considered the best stone sculptures of Nepal. Terracotta sculptures and masks, among other artworks, are made from clay. Terracotta works are thought to have been in existence in Nepal from a long time. According to historians and archaeologists, terracotta works found during a recent excavation administered by the Department of Archaeology were from the 2nd century BC. In recent practices, terracotta works are made before the development of metal sculptures. Different goods used in daily life are made from terracotta works. In addition to the sculptures of religious figures, products such as cups and plates, among other utensils, are also made from terracotta technique, while they are sold in domestic and foreign markets as well. Artists who have been working with terracotta for ages live in Thimi of Bhaktapur, Dang and Kapilvastu. Popular artist Gopal Kalapremi says The creativity and dedication of Nepali artists has been uplifting terracotta works in and outside of Nepal. Pauba art is made in the Kathmandu Valley and is considered as a traditional art form. This form of art is known as thanga in Tibet. In Tibetan language, documentation and archives of gods and goddesses is called thanku or thanga. In this form of art, color from natural minerals is used to paint the pictures of religious figures on cloth. The large figure of main god and goddesses is placed at the center, while remaining gods and goddesses are placed in relatively smaller figures at the other parts. The background of this form of art includes different kinds of flowers, clouds, trees, and birds and animals. An artwork of Ratnasambhav Buddha conserved at the County Museum in Los Angeles of the United States of America is considered to be the oldest Paubha art which was developed in the 13th century. The Amitabha Buddha art of the 13th century, also at the County Museum alongside Vishnu Mandala of 1420, and the 19th century's Sahas Bhujalokeshwar saved at the National Museum in Chhaoni, are considered to be Nepal's best Paubha artworks. The demand of Paubha artworks is increasing in Nepal and the foreign market. Popular and senior artist Lok Chitrakar says continuous efforts of talented artists has helped increase the popularity of Nepali Paubha art. Nepali handicrafts have established a significant position in the international community for their traditional, religious, social, historic and archaeological richness. Nepal Academy of Fine Arts has been conducting significant tasks in regards to conservation, promotion and development of Nepali handicrafts. Active involvement of experienced, skilled and talented artists, along with their devotion and sacrifices, have been rejuvenating Nepali handicrafts and helping establish a unique and superior identity of Nepal in the international community.
A majestic destination blessed by cultural, religious, historic and natural diversities. Nepal is the country of Mount Everest and the birthplace of Lord Gautama Buddha. Karnali is synonymous to Nepal. One can experience the diversity of Nepal by visiting Karnali province. It is a must-go destination for those who want to experience the real Nepal. Karnali, that represents Nepal's age-old civilization, is in itself mesmerizing. The province has immense tourism potential with its unique natural, religious, cultural, archaeological and historic diversity. The famous tourist destinations in the province have played an important role in representing Nepal at the international level. Tourism can be the base for prosperity of Karnali region based on its immense prospects. Lakes, water bodies and famous religious sites are the major attractions for tourists in this province. Rara Lake, Sefoksundu Lake, Bulbule Lake, Chayanath, Dai Lake, Sinja Valley, Humla. This is Rara. Rara is the largest lake in Nepal. The lake is situated at Chayanath Rural Municipality of Mugu District in the Rara National Park. The unique lake is not just known for the different species of rare fishes and the musk ducks, but also for the changing color as per the climatic condition. Many foreign tourists come here to witness the camouflage of this majestic lake. A virgin destination a few years back. Now more than 50,000 tourists flock the Rara Lake every year, and the number is constantly on the rise. Land and air are the two means to reach Rara Lake. You can reach Rara in a day from Kathmandu by air. From Trivandrum International Airport, Kathmandu to Nepalganj, and another flight from Nepalganj to Talcher Airport in Mugu is the easiest option. However, from Talcher, it is another 3 hours uphill walk to reach the breathtaking Rara Lake. If you choose land travel, it might take up to 3 days. A day's travel from Kathmandu to Surkhet, an overnight stay. Manma, the district headquarters of Kalikot, from Surkhet, an overnight stay, and on the 3rd day you can reach the Rara Lake. You need not walk if you choose this route for Rara Lake. Humla is a very remote Himalayan district of Nepal bordering Mugu. It has great touristic importance. Many pilgrims who want to go to the mythical Kailas mountain via Mansarovar take the journey via Humla district. Tourists, mainly Indian pilgrims, travel to Mansarovar, one of the largest pure water bodies at the highest altitude in the world, for religious purposes. This is the shortest and the most convenient route for the pilgrims. Most of the pilgrims traveling to Mansarovar choose air trip up to Simikot of Humla from Nepalganj. From Simikot, helicopter trip up to Hilsa, from where they enter Chinese autonomous region of Tibet. One day's drive from entering Tibet, the pilgrims reach Mansarovar. The Kimi Valley of Humla is another new tourist destination in the district. Ancient idols of archaeological importance and the monasteries have given it a new name, the Valley of Monasteries. These priceless statues, sculptures, and artifacts are the major attractions in the valley. Majority of the tourists visiting Karnali are the pilgrims from India. Culturally, the people of the Karnali region believe in multi-deity worship, but majority pay homage to their ancestral deity, the master god. The famous ritual of worshipping 12 master deities has become a popular subject for researchers and tourists alike. Karnali is a majestic land, naturally as well as culturally. It has religious and cultural heritages in abundance. It offers attractions for tourists of varying interests. Somewhat deprived in education, health, and employment. Karnali's tourism potential, due to its unique and diverse nature, geography, religion, culture, history, and archaeology, is unexplored. Many potential tourist destinations have yet to be explored in this region. So far, 101 destinations in the region have been branded as of touristic importance. Of the 101, 13 are under federal government, 9 under province government, and 79 under local levels. Karnali might lack top-class infrastructures including roadways, hotels or communications, but many destinations attract adventure tourists. Likewise, medicinal herbs like Yarsagumba, Kali Marsi paddy, millet and barley fields attract tourists when in full bloom. Some of the best organic dishes on offer you might find Kali Marsi paddy, honey, broad beans, dry apple, marfa, barley, sipped wool products as the gifts of Karnali. Whitewater rafting in the 5th best river in the world, Karnali, and very tall and majestic Kanjirova, Patarasi and Sisne mountains open for expedition challenge mountaineers and explorers alike. Karnali is also known as the origin of civilizations including language, literature, art and culture. It's a pure and revered land. It has a lot to offer to researchers and explorers. Surkhet, the provincial headquarters of Karnali, is the gateway to most of the tourist destinations. Karnali Highway connects some of the destinations including Kotgadi, Panchadeval, Bilaspur, Mahabu area in Delhi. Pachal waterfall in Kalikot, Sinja Valley and the Dul Monastery of Jumla, and Rara Lake of Mugu. Very few destinations of Mugu and Jumla have road access. On the other hand, many budget travelers are not encouraged to traveling in Karnali as it is relatively expensive due to unavailability of road network. It is a must-go destination for those who want to experience the real Nepal.
Chinese President Xi Jinping visited the Central Cadres Training School of the Workers' Party of Korea in Pyongyang on Tuesday during his state visit to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. He was accompanied by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, with hundreds of teachers and students welcoming his arrival. The two leaders toured classrooms and campus facilities, including a lecture on China-DPRK relations. They later planted a fir tree in the school grounds as a symbol of lasting friendship between the two countries. and unveiled a commemorative stele inscribed with a message expressing enduring bilateral ties. The death toll from the powerful 8.2 magnitude earthquake that struck southern Philippines on Monday has risen to 37, with at least 400 people injured and 4 still missing. The epicenter had been near Mindanao, where widespread damage were reported, including collapsed buildings and disrupted infrastructure. In General Santos City, the international airport, a university, and several structures were damaged, while power and communication lines were affected. The Philippine Red Cross had deployed teams to provide first aid and water support. Schools were also heavily impacted, with children panicking during a ceremony when the quake struck. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. had ordered rescue and relief operations as authorities recorded around 1,000 aftershocks and warned that more tremors could continue. 24 Indian crew members were safely rescued from a merchant tanker after it was struck in a missile attack off the coast of Oman in the Arabian Sea. The Maritime Rescue Coordination Center in Mumbai coordinated closely with Omani authorities to carry out the operation. Officials confirmed that all crew members were safe, with no casualties or injuries reported. Following the incident, the vessel was later anchored off Masira Island in Oman. The successful rescue highlighted strong international maritime cooperation and the quick response of regional rescue agencies. It also underscored the Indian Coast Guard's commitment to protecting seafarers and responding swiftly to maritime emergencies worldwide. India achieved a major infrastructure milestone as the excavation of the iconic Zojila Tunnel reached its final breakthrough. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari triggered the last blast during an inspection visit, marking the completion of the tunneling phase of the project in the presence of Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha. The 13.153-kilometer bi-directional tunnel, built at an altitude of 11,578 feet, is said to become the world's longest and highest road tunnel of its kind. Once completed, it will connect Baltal in Kashmir's Sonamang region with Minamarg in Ladakh's Dras Kargil, bypassing the hazardous Zojila Pass. Officials said the tunnel, work on which began in 2021, would provide all-weather connectivity on the Srinagar-Kargil-Leh highway, ending seasonal closures caused by heavy snow and avalanches. Hanoi outlined plans to gradually develop an underground urban layer featuring metro lines, parking facilities, shopping centers, and pedestrian connections to ease pressure on surface infrastructure in the rapidly growing city of nearly 10 million people. The roadmap was set to be implemented in phases, with the first stage from 2026 to 2035 focusing on legal frameworks, planning, and management systems. Between 2045 and 2065, the city planned to expand underground development in the central area to around 35 to 40% coverage. After 2065, authorities intended to shift toward full operation and optimization of the system using digital technologies, aiming to build a fully integrated second urban layer beneath the capital. Hong Kong launched ICH Around Town as part of Hong Kong ICH Month 2026, showcasing more than 100 intangible cultural heritage items across the city. The initiative highlighted traditional practices, crafts, and performances while promoting district-based cultural experiences. Organizers said the event aimed to preserve and pass on Hong Kong's rich heritage in line with national safeguarding efforts. A wide range of interactive activities was also introduced, allowing residents and visitors to explore the diversity and significance of intangible cultural heritage. A new light and shadow virtual reality cinema opened at the National Digital Film Industrial Park in Wuxi City, East China's Jiangsu province, offering moviegoers a fully immersive entertainment experience. The venue featured both seated and walking zones, enabling audiences to explore virtual worlds instead of simply watching films on a screen. Visitors praised the interactive format, while operators said the concept blended cinema with gaming and adventure. The VR cinema was scheduled to remain open to the public throughout June, showcasing a new direction for digital filmmaking and entertainment. The United Nations warned that the world's oceans were facing a deepening crisis, urging immediate global action to address climate change, pollution and overfishing. In its third World Ocean Assessment, compiled by 600 scientists, the UN said sea levels had continued to rise at accelerating rates while ocean temperatures reached record highs. The report also highlighted shrinking polar ice, widespread coral reef decline, and growing plastic pollution threatening maritime ecosystems. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called for stronger international cooperation and science-based action to protect the oceans for future generations. The waters of Nonhai in Chunondong Ward, Jialai province, entered their annual sargassum season, transforming the seabed into a stunning landscape of golden seaweed forests. Stretching across vibrant coral reefs, the underwater ecosystem attracted attention for both its beauty and ecological significance. Once harvested for medicinal use and local livelihoods, sargassum was increasingly recognized as a vital habitat for fish and other marine life. The seasonal spectacle also highlighted the importance of protecting Vietnam's coastal ecosystems as the country continued to expand its marine economy. Vietnam's rich culinary heritage was celebrated through efforts to preserve both royal and traditional recipes that reflected the nation's history and culture. In Hue, restoration artisan Trinh Than Quang spent more than 2 decades recreating 6 royal banquet dishes from the Nguyen dynasty after studying under a descendant of Emperor Minh Mang. Beyond the imperial kitchen, legendary delicacies such as husband and wife cake continue to be safeguarded by local artisans in Bắc Ninh province. Producers said they remained committed to preserving their cultural identity and promoting traditional craft villages. Thanks to these efforts, Vietnam's culinary traditions continue to thrive and connect new generations with the country's cultural legacy. Turkey expanded its tourism offerings in Cappadocia by introducing new night museum experiences designed to attract more visitors throughout the year. As part of the initiative, several of the region's most iconic historical and natural sites were illuminated, allowing tourists to explore them after sunset. Lighting work was carried out at the Gorem Open Air Museum, Zelv Open Air Museum, Pasabag Archaeological Site, and Erdemli Valley, with 692 fixtures set to be installed by the end of the month. Officials said the project would encourage longer stays and provide visitors with a unique nighttime perspective of Cappadocia's ancient rock-carved settlements and famous fairy chimneys. The centuries-old tradition of highland migration had begun in Turkey's Black Sea region as residents of Sinlais neighborhood in Salpazan district of Trabzon moved to mountain pastures with their livestock. As temperatures rose, villagers set out early in the morning toward the Gat Agakwan plateau. After months of anticipation, herders prepared their animals and began the difficult journey through steep terrain and long mountain paths. Despite challenging conditions, they paused occasionally to rest while moving through the region's green landscapes. After several hours of travel, the villagers reached the plateau at an altitude of around 1,800 meters, where they would spend the summer months. The annual migration was once again observed as a vital cultural tradition, preserving the lifestyle of highland communities in the Black Sea region.
Hello and welcome to The Perspective on NTV World. I'm Sabika Shrestha, your host for the program. From major headlines to the issues behind them, we break down the week's top stories and explore how they are shaping the path forward. This week's episode features a special focus on Nepal-India relations, with Foreign Minister Sisir Khanal's high-profile visit to New Delhi taking center stage as both countries sought to deepen cooperation across development, connectivity and economic partnership. It also examined Rashtriya Swatantra Party Chair Rabi Lami Chhane's visit to India and its significance for bilateral engagement. This was the first high-level exchange since the formation of the new government in Nepal. Nepal's Foreign Minister Sisir Khanal, after completing his 3-day official visit to India, said Nepal and India are capable enough to settle the border issue without any third party's mediation, while stating that some historic documents can be sought from UK regarding Nepal and then British East India Company. There is no room for third-party mediation. During the visit, Minister Khanal held delegation-level talks with India's External Affairs Minister S. Jayasankar in New Delhi, where both sides discussed development, cooperation, connectivity, expansion, trade and transit energy, collaboration and people-to-people relations. Here's what is stated.
यस भ्रमणका क्रममा भएका छलफल र उच्च स्तरीय भेटघाटहरूले नेपाल र भारतको कूटनीतिक र आर्थिक सहकार्यलाई नयाँ उचाइमा पुर्याउनका साथै आगामी दिनमा आपसी हितका क्षेत्रहरूमा परिणाममुखी सहकार्य अघि बढाउने बलियो आधार तयार भएको मैले महसुस गरेको छु। हाम्रो सन्तुलित, स्वतन्त्र र बहुआयामिक परराष्ट्र नीतिलाई थप सशक्त ढङ्गले अभिव्यक्त गर्ने अवसर प्राप्त भएको छ। व्यापार तथा लगानी विस्तार गर्ने, ऊर्जा सहकार्य सुदृढ गर्ने, पर्यटन प्रवर्धन गर्ने तथा कनेक्टिभिटी र जनस्तरको सम्बन्ध अझ सशक्त बनाउने विषयहरूमा ठोस आधार तयार पारेको छ। क्षेत्रीय स्थायित्व, आपूर्ति श्रृङ्खला, सुरक्षा तथा ऊर्जा साझेदारी जस्ता समसामयिक अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय मुद्दाहरूमा समेत धारणा आदान-प्रदान गरिएको छ।
As Nepal and India seek to broaden cooperation beyond traditional areas of engagement, Foreign Minister Sisir Khanal's visit to New Delhi has underscored efforts by both neighbors to strengthen a partnership spanning development, connectivity, technology and economic integration. While long-standing issues remain on the bilateral agenda, the visit highlighted a shared commitment to deepening cooperation, advancing relations through dialogue and practical collaboration. Siksha Bhattrai brings more.
Nepal and India have agreed to further deepen bilateral ties as Foreign Minister Sisir Khanal concluded his first official visit to India since the formation of Nepal's present government. During talks in New Delhi with Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jayasankar, the two sides reviewed progress on ongoing projects and discussed cooperation in trade, connectivity, energy, development partnership, and people-to-people relations. The ministers also welcomed new areas of engagement, including innovation, startups, digital technology, and financial connectivity. A key outcome of the visit was the launch of cross-border digital payment system, linking Nepal's national payment interface and India's unified payments interface, aimed at making transactions between citizens of the two countries easier. The two sides also announced a partnership between Kathmandu University and Digital India Bhasini to jointly develop a voice-first language translation platform. Development cooperation remained another major focus. Following the talks, India handed over a list of 84 post-earthquake reconstruction projects completed in Nepal with Indian assistance, including 72 health sector projects and 12 cultural heritage projects. Both countries also welcomed the completion of internal procedures for enforcing the Mutual Legal Assistance Agreement, which will support cooperation in tackling cross-border crimes. The visit also addressed unresolved issues, with Minister Khanal reiterating Nepal's commitment to resolving border matters through dialogue and diplomatic channels. While challenges remain, the visit highlighted a shared effort to strengthen cooperation across a wide range of sectors and further expand the Nepal-India partnership.
For more insights into the recent high-level visits to India and their implications for Nepal-India relations, we are joined virtually by Vijaykanth Karnasar, former ambassador and executive chairperson of the Center for Social Innovation and Foreign Policy. Welcome to The Perspective, sir.
Thank you.
So as we know, recently there was high-level visit from Nepal to India. So how do you see recent high-level visit from Nepal to India? What does the warm reception accorded to RSP Chair Lamichhane suggest?
Okay, this is a extremely very successful visit, and visit was excellent in both sides. The first I would like to tell you some message we have got from Delhi, that what does it mean for Delhi? Why they did such a grand welcome to Mr. Lamichhane and Mr. Khanal, for our Foreign Minister Khanal. The first thing that which I have been watching Indians, that they respect the people's mandate, which is huge. People's mandate in March, the RSP has got almost 2/3 majority. The first thing is that. Second thing is that India wanted to work with the new government with big enthusiasm. Third thing is that the Indians are ready to engage with the several mechanism at different level, at different mechanism, party level, at government level, at every level. So these are the messages, and what I found that our minister and Mr. Lamichhane has made a very mature and very extremely, I can say that very clear message, mature and responsible, very clear message to the Indian leadership. That how we are going to engage, what are our priorities. Very clearly defined article written by Mr. Lamichhane is extremely very good in the sense that the economic connectivity and several issues are. At the same time, Minister Khanal and Lamichhane give very clear message that we have some disputes, some differences over our border, and we have some, so it needs to go through the diplomatic way of negotiation and settling. So this is a very much, I can say that it's a kind of a very mature diplomatic effort by both leaders.
Sir, can we expect the much debated Kalapani, Limpiadhura and Lipulek issue with India will now feature in bilateral talks as well?
On border, Kalapani and Lipulek, Limpiadhura, and even in Indian included Susta also. What I found that they have talked on it and they agreed to move forward the process, diplomatic way. And this is a very contentious issue. It does not settle in one go. It needs a very silent diplomacy where Indian and the Nepalese expert sit together and see each and every documents from 1816 to till then. So this is the one point. The second thing that such border disputes cannot be settled in one go or one meeting or something like that. So the trust has been created. What I found that when our minister has raised some issues, I found that the minister Jaishankar has very positively said, and our minister also reciprocated with the both together, that we should go for a diplomatic channel, negotiation and discussion. So it's our foreign ministry, it's our survey department to work on, and then our archaeology to find out all the concerned documents and the proof that this area is out. So we have to create several groups, archaeological experts, survey experts, and then we have to go to negotiation.
Sir, how much has the visit of Foreign Minister Sisir Khanal prepared the ground for more engagement between the two sides?
Very matured statement by the Foreign Minister on India-Nepal relations. And so this is what I found, that the Minister Khanal was fully prepared for all the issues. He was very prepared on it. And sometimes I actually acknowledge him much while he was, the last time when he was in Mauritius, speaking on maritime, on the Indian Ocean issues, how he relate our mythology from Samudra Manthan to Himalaya. So it was, he relate with the climate change and issues of navigation for landlocked countries like us. So he has very good diplomatic knowledge at the moment. I can say our top diplomats became a very mature diplomat.
So with discussions focusing on connectivity, energy and economic integration, which area offers Nepal the greatest strategic and economic benefit in its partnership with India?
I think that the Nepal should start negotiating on digital payment system very quickly. It is yet not fully completed, number one. Number two, that the infrastructure in our border areas and our goods coming from, although I know that there is a 8-lane road going to be from Raxol to Haldia Airport. So there are several things. Another big issue between Nepal and India is that we have to engage with the private sector of India to invest in Nepal. Because Nepal needs investment for employment, for economic growth. And it needs, and our neighbor countries in manufacturing, even we can go for a partly joint venture with Indian companies on fertilizer. We can go for several manufacturing, some parts to be made in Nepal and then supply to Indian manufacturing company in a vehicles or whatever that is. In several ways, we have to engage in the economic investment. The first thing, my point is that because the political trust has been created, so it needs. And second thing, that the more investment from India's private sector as well as from India's government. We have to go for Exim Bank and take soft loan in our development process. When I see the budget, we have a very limited money on the development side. So that cannot be solved in employment. That cannot solve several economic issues. We need much more investment from our southern border. Because the Indian companies at the moment, I sometimes am amazed that they have been invested in US and everywhere in China and several countries. So we are, our language, culture, everything very similar, so that we can invite. We have to change our several laws with the government. My understanding, they are working on it. So they have to change several laws, and we have to welcome Indian private companies to invest in Nepal. So for me, this is the most important work Nepal government should immediately start. So all these private business organizations, FNCC, Chamber of Commerce, and several other NICI and other organizations should be revitalized and talk to the Indian businessmen. Nepal government should facilitate our business in relation to invite Indian businessmen, industrialists to invest in it.
So as we have talked before about this border issue and you have said it will take a long time, so can we say that after this visit now India has opened up for discussion on the border issues? How should Nepal take ahead the issue diplomatically ahead?
Now, look, Nepal should, everything needs for a business investment. Whenever the business people or anything coming to other countries, they need their benefit, whether there is a profit or not. And that's why I propose that if there is a fertilizer factory, Nepal cannot afford the small factories, which is a very largely loss-making factory. Then we have to go to the large, which does not, we don't have that market. In that case, we have to ask government of India to facilitate between the private sector, and they should, both the private sector, both governments should prioritize that one, and then we have to establish it somewhere in Tarai or fertilizer factory. In such a way, I can tell you that there are big manufacturing unit established. There is a mark in Bihar and UP, which is very adjoining, even in West Bengal. So we can have some industrial, some unit to be established, produce in Nepal, and they can like car. Some parts we can produce, not all. And then the other things like the IT. India has a big, you know that all the big IT companies are the CEO and all are Indians, almost 90% are the Indians. So they have a big asset in that case. So we have to engage our different engineering colleges to Indian engineering institutes, IIT, several IIT, and that can help us. So government should go for very pragmatic way of a start talking with the private sector. In India, the government is a facilitator, and government should make the law, banking system, everything, insurance in a place, so that both the private sector can. And even in that case, I can say that the government decided to allow our private sector to export hydroelectricity in India, which is a very big departure.
Lastly, sir, apart from border issues, Nepal has numerous things to discuss and depend on India. First and foremost is the chemical fertilizer. So how do you see the proposal of opening a fertilizer plant in Nepal soon?
Look, the fertilizer, I think that we have signed G2G agreement with India, and they are ready to send us the fertilizer through the government channel. So I think that I don't know the exact position of both government, but I have heard in the media and from the government sources, they said that we agreed, and now they have been working on to send it. It needs a little bit technical thing. I think that very soon the fertilizer will be arriving very soon at the moment.
Thank you for your time and insight, sir.
Thank you very much.
That was Vijayakant Karna, sir, former ambassador and executive chairperson of the Center for Social Innovation and Foreign Policy, sharing his insights with us on the recent high-level visits to India and their implications for Nepal-India relations. Now, as Nepal and India seek to strengthen cooperation across trade, energy and connectivity, unresolved issues such as border disputes continue to test ties between the two close neighbors. Against this backdrop, RSP, Rashtriya Swatantra Party chairperson Rabi Lamichhane's visit to India has drawn attention, with both sides pledging to deepen engagement and take bilateral relations into new heights. Here's a report.
Nepal and India have pledged to take their relationship to new heights. That message emerged strongly from New Delhi when Nepal's ruling party, Rashtriya Swatantra Party President Rabi Lamichhane met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his 5-day visit to India. Following the meeting, Prime Minister Modi described Nepal as a priority partner under India's Neighbourhood First policy and expressed readiness to work with Nepal's new political leadership to further strengthen bilateral ties. Lamichhane in turn said Nepal and India should move beyond historical boundaries and embrace a new era of development diplomacy built on trust, cooperation and shared prosperity. The high-level meeting comes at a significant moment in Nepal-India relations. While the two countries continue to deepen cooperation in connectivity, energy trade, infrastructure and people-to-people exchanges, unresolved issues, including border disputes, continue to surface from time to time. Against that backdrop, Lamichhane's visit has drawn attention not only because of his meeting with Modi, but also because of his engagements with key Indian decision-makers, including Home Minister Amit Shah, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, and senior leaders of the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. Discussions reportedly covered Nepal-India relations, development partnership, democratic practices, security cooperation, and expanding engagement between political parties of the two countries. Such visits reflect an effort to broaden dialogue beyond traditional government channels, especially as newer political forces seek to establish their own diplomatic networks and understanding with regional partners. Sustained progress will depend on how both neighbors manage sensitive issues while advancing cooperation in areas where interests converge. For now, the visit signals a shared willingness to keep communications channel open and strengthen cooperation.
That's all from the perspective for this week's edition. We will be back next week with more updates. Stay tuned to NTV World.
It is no more the remote far west, but the wonderful west. 9 districts are in the far west province, from the low-lying Tarai to the heightening mountains. Climatically, the province has all tropical weather conditions prevailing in Nepal. This makes the province a paradise for tourists of all interests. Khaptad, Badimalika, Api and Saipal mountains, Surmi and Ghodagodi lakes, Ramarosan area, Dodara Chandani, Sukla Fata Wildlife Reserve, Tikapur Botanical Garden, Amargari Fort. Dhangadi, the province headquarters, is the gateway to the state. The business hub of the far west region, Dhangadi, is becoming well equipped for political, trade and business infrastructures and other human resources. The far west region of Nepal is blessed with natural beauty. Any traveler is attracted by this epitome of beauty and a gift of Mother Nature. In addition to the natural beauty of the region, you can see the human civilizations rich in culture and arts throughout the province. The people of this region enjoy their unique lifestyle identified by their culture, language and religion. The far west region has the wealth of nature, culture and religious uniqueness to offer to every traveler. Khaptad. The Khaptad National Park, spreading across 4 districts of Doti, Acham, Bajang and Bajura of the far west province, is situated at an altitude of 3,000 meters above the sea level. The natural splendor and breathtaking views revealing geography's diversity is a sight to remember for every nature lover. This is the land of penance, where Khaptad Baba lived for 50 years in his pursuit of knowledge and enlightenment. There are 22 Patans and the famous Triveni temple in Khaptad. The natural splendor of Kaptar area is attracting many domestic and foreign tourists by the day. Trekking in the Kaptar region is a lifetime experience, especially with the numerous species of birds, wildlife, flora and fauna in the numerous trails. Kaptar is the meeting point of 4 districts: Doti, Acham, Bazan and Basura. A chaste land of Kaptar Baba, an important place for religious tourism. Special prayers and worship are offered in the place during the famous Dasara fair. Some of the major attractions in the region: Badi Malika. Situated 4,200 meters above the sea level, Badi Malika is a famous religious site in remote Bajura district of the far west province. The annual fair on the occasion of Janai Purnima draws thousands of devotees at the Badi Malika temple. Lush green meadows, pure waterfalls, and whistling ravines flowing downstream are the major attractions of the natural wonder. Thousands of domestic and foreign tourists flock the temple every year during the fair and other times as well. Badi Malika is popular among people in the far west and Karnali provinces. However, few people from Kathmandu and Gadwal of India also visit this site for pilgrimage. The famous pilgrimage site in Bajura district of far west province, Badi Malika. There is a popular belief that offering worship to deity Badi Malika fulfills one's wishes. Large fair takes place every year on Janai Purnima. The Badi Malika temple on top of a hill. The 22 patans, various species of flowers, panoramic view of the mountain range. Only a few small tea shops are seen as amenities in this area. One can reach Badi Malika by taking a flight from Nepalganj to Kolti airport of Bajura. Day-long drive from Kolti followed by 3 days of walk. Suklafata. Suklafata National Park is a world-famous destination for those interested in wildlife. The main attraction of the park is the large grassy meadows where the bara singers are seen in big numbers. The flock in the park is said to be the largest in the world. The park is home to 46 mammals, including endangered Bengal tiger, elephant, and anjir, and over 423 species of birds. The national park offers elephant ride and jungle safari to tourists as major recreational activities. The national park along Nepal-India border in Kanchanpur district is famous for watching wild elephants and barasinger, a heaven for wildlife enthusiasts. The attractions: grassy meadows, swamps and wetlands. Ramaroshan, located in Acham district of Nepal at an altitude of 2,500 meters above the sea level. Ramaroshan is a jewel for tourists in the far west province. place having 18 patch of meadows, locally known as Patans, is a major tourism destination. The beautiful Ramaroshan Lake is the major attraction for tourists here. This area is the only habitat of national bird of Nepal, Daffy, or the Lophophorus. The rhododendron forest along the trails leading to the lake rejuvenates every traveler. Amargadi Fort. Amargadi Fort is a historic castle in Amargadi municipality of Danildura. This fort is an important site of historical, archaeological, political, religious, social and cultural aspects. The fort that witnessed the bravery of Kaji Amar Singh Thapa in the unification campaign of Nepal is strategically located at the top of a hill in the district headquarters of Dadildura. General Thapa established his administrative headquarters in the fort itself during the unification campaign. This is an interesting site for researchers and archaeological explorers. Mostly domestic and Indian tourists visit this fort. The Far West Province has dozens of existing and new tourism destinations. From a breathtaking mountain range to famous temples, the province has tourism destinations for all types of travelers to engage them for even a month. As many tourism destinations are in Far West Province, so is the potential of the province. Most of the tourists in the province come for travel and research. However, lack of proper infrastructures discourage many enthusiasts. The Far West Province has not been able to welcome desired number of tourists in the absence of the amenities. The number of foreign tourists entering Nepal via custom points in the Far West Province has seen some increment of late. But most of them hardly spend a day or two there. After entering Nepal from Kailali or Kanchanpur, most of the tourists head towards the east for capital Kathmandu or Pokhara or some other destinations. After the centralized system of governance changed to federalism, the possibilities of development has increased with the full authority now in local levels. One immediate such possibility is the trekking trail. If only the 5 proposed tourism corridors, Khakrola, Tikapur, Karnali, Badimalika, Khutia, Bipinagar, Tel Lake, Khaptar, Dhangadi, Budar, Saipal, Mahakali River and Jhulaghat Mursa can be developed as per provincial government's plan, it could contribute to the national mission of prosperity through tourism. Many other destinations can be developed into touristic sites to welcome domestic as well as foreign tourists. The artist's geography might be discouraging, but the nature has blessed the region with glory. This is why tourism can be the base for prosperity for Far West province. It is no more the remote Far West, but the wonderful West.
कसैले पनि अब व्हीलचेयरमै चाहिँ बन्जी गर्नुभएको छैन।
अहिले चाहिँ आई एम भेरी एक्साइटेड। रमाइलो आउने। यस 2 1 बन्जी।
डिफ्रेन्ट आइडियाहरू हुन्छ हाम्रो, जस्तै अब खुट्टामा लगाएर नर्मल जम्प गर्नुपर्ने, उहाँहरूले चाहिँ हामी बडीमा मात्रै लगाएर जम्प गराउँछौँ।
लेट्स गो।
This is the story of Dilip Sapkota and Sisir Dahal, two wheelchair daredevils who challenged their physical limitations by jumping nearly 200 meters. They weren't just attempting a bungee jump, they were making history by attempting a bungee jump in their wheelchair. The location was the famous The Last Resort, offering adventurous thrill over Bhotekosi River in Sindhupalchok district of central Nepal. From the launch pad, a suspension bridge over the river, a free fall 160 meters down the gorge. This bridge had been the launch pad for the courageous and adventure seekers for years. But on this day, the jump was not just about adrenaline rush, but also about defiance, about breaking the barriers. Dilip, a fierce advocate for inclusive tourism, has spent years pushing boundaries, paragliding, ziplining, even bungee jumping without a chair.
म अपङ्गता भइसके पछाडी म आफूलाई कसरी रिफ्रेश बनाउने त, म आफै चाहिँ कसरी ह्याप्पी हुन्छु भनेर आफैले आफैलाई बुझ्दाखेरि चाहिँ मैले घुम्दा ट्राभलहरू गर्दा एडभेन्चरहरू गर्दा अझ म बढी आफै खुसी भएको पाएँ। अनि त्यस पछाडी चाहिँ मलाई बन्जी, मैले प्याराग्लाइडिङहरू गरेँ। प्याराग्लाइडिङहरू गरिसके पछाडी बन्जी पनि गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने लाग्यो अनि मैले बन्जी गरेँ। बन्जी गरेपछि होइन अब यो बन्जीलाई पनि एकचोटि व्हीलचेयरमा पनि बन्जी गर्नुपर्छ हैन। नेपालमा म चाहिँ अपङ्गता भएका साथीहरूले चाहिँ एडभेन्चरकोमा चाहिँ अलिक पछाडी देखिने, उहाँहरू खासै त्यति धेरै एडभेन्चरहरू गर्नलाई त्यस्तो खेलहरू खेल्नलाई डराउने, यस्तो हुन्छ उस्तो हुन्छ भन्ने उहाँहरूको चाहिँ मेन्टालिटी पनि थियो र त्यो मेन्टालिटीलाई पनि चिर्नुपर्छ। मैले यो सकिन्छ, हामीले पनि खेल्न सक्छौँ, गर्न सक्छौँ र एउटा चाहिँ समावेशी पर्यटनलाई पनि यो एउटा वकालत पनि हुन्छ। नेपाल सरकार लगायत सम्बन्धित निकायलाई यो वकालतको पनि एडभोकेसी पनि गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने उद्देश्य राखेर मैले चाहिँ बन्जी गरेको।
Sisir, an agricultural entrepreneur living with spinal paralysis, has turned his challenges into advocacy.
म अनेस्टली भन्नुपर्दा यो चाहिँ पुरै अनप्लान्ड नै हो हैन। जति पनि मेरो लाइफमा म जति पनि एडभेन्चर अथवा गर्छु हैन, त्यति धेरै प्लान गरेर चाहिँ गर्दिम भनेपछि गर्दिम भन्ने टाइपले चाहिँ यसको लागि चाहिँ म विशेष धन्यवाद हाम्रो दिलीप सरलाई म दिन चाहन्छु है। उहाँले मलाई थाहा नै नदिकन ल आज जाम भनेर भन्नुभयो। मैले आज भोलि हामी बन्जी जम्प गर्दैछौँ भनेर हिजो दोलालघाट आइपुगेपछि, हामी काठमाडौँबाट हिँडेको मान्छे दोलालघाट आइपुगेपछि थाहा भएको। सो अब गरौँ न त, आइसक्यो भनेर चाहिँ हैन एउटा अनुभव पनि हुन्छ लाइफमा। हामी जस्तो अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिले पनि गर्न सकिन्छ है भन्ने टाइपले हैन अनि त्यहाँबाट अरूलाई मोटिभेट गर्नलाई साथसाथै अब आफ्नो पनि एउटा रिफ्रेशमेन्टको लागि चाहिँ अब आज हामी बन्जी जम्प गर्न जाँदैछौँ
Together, the goal was clear: to inspire thousands and redefine what people with disabilities can achieve. A wheelchair bungee jump was no ordinary feat. It demanded innovation, precision, and absolute commitment. The team designed a secure rigging system, checked every bolt and knot, ensuring the wheelchairs and harnesses could withstand the extreme forces.
सेट बाबु खासै त्यस्तो डिफ्रेन्ट त होइन उहाँहरूको अब स्पेसल अलिकति समस्या भएर त्यो अनुसारको सेफ तरिकाले गर्ने अर्को डिफ्रेन्ट आइडियाहरू हुन्छ हाम्रो जस्तै अब खुट्टामा लाएर नर्मली जम्प गर्नुपर्ने उहाँहरूले चाहिँ हामीले बडीमा मात्रै लाएर जम्प गराउँछौँ सो खुट्टामा चाहिँ केही पनि प्रेसर पर्दैन ढाडमा पनि कम प्रेसर पर्छ सो त्यसरी गर्दा चाहिँ उहाँलाई एकदम कम्फर्टेबल हुन्छ अनि प्लस अब उहाँले अब तल गएर तान्नुपर्ने गर्नुपर्ने कुराहरू हुन्छ सकेसम्म उहाँहरूले ट्राई गर्नु भएन भने हामी एकजना रेस्क्यु स्ट्यान्ड बाई हुन्छ अनि त्यसको लागि चाहिँ हामी अलिक बढी प्रिपेयर गरेर गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ अब सेफ्टीको हिसाबले अलिकति डिफ्रेन्ट तरिका चाहिँ अपनाउनु पर्यो हामीले
This was not a stunt. It was proof that adventure can be made accessible.
34 अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय अपाङ्गता दिवस हो सो यो अपाङ्गता दिवसकै दिनमा चाहिँ केही एउटा चाहिँ एडभेन्चर गरौँ हैन कसैले पनि अब व्हिलचेयरमै चाहिँ बन्जी गर्नुभएको छैन त्यसको लागि पनि एउटा चाहिँ पहिलोचोटि गर्दै हेर अरू साथीहरूलाई पनि एउटा चाहिँ इन्करेज गरौँ भन्ने चाहना हो खास
At the edge of the platform, silence fell. Dilip rolled forward first. The count began.
Happy International Disability Day, all of you.
A symbol of confinement transformed into a vessel of freedom, probably the first ever wheelchair bungee jump in Nepal.
Promax bungee! खासै अहिले चाहिँ पुरा म नर्मल चाहिँ एकदम चिल भएको छु हैन अब यहाँ हामफाल्दाखेरि चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ म हामफालिसकेपछि अनुभव सुनाउँछु अहिले चाहिँ आई एम भेरी एक्साइटेड आई एम गोइङ टु डु समथिङ फर माइसेल्फ हैन आई एम गोइङ टु डु माई फर्स्ट बन्जी अफ माई लाइफ सो आई एम भेरी एक्साइटेड
Then came Sisir's turn. With equal determination, he embraced the drop.
Well, let's go.
His leap cemented the moment, not a solo feat, but a shared victory.
रमाइलो यस उहाँले आर यु रेडी भन्नुभयो मैले ठिक छ म रेडी भने मैले आँखा चिम्म गरिदिएँ अनि त्यसपछि ठ्याक्कै उहाँले 1 2 3 जम्प भन्नुभयो उहाँले पुस गरिदिनु भयो मलाई म पुस गरेको आँखा चिम्मको चिम्म तल पुगेपछि ठ्याक्क त्यो डोरीले तान्छ नि तानेर माथि आएपछि त्यो समय चाहिँ मैले यस्तो फिल गरेँ कि म बाँचेँ हैन मसँग अब चाहिँ सबै चिजहरू मसँग फेरि पनि छ र मलाई चाहिँ एकदमै आनन्द त्यो टाइमको त्यो 2 सेकेन्ड 3 सेकेन्डको एउटा चाहिँ ह्याप्पिनेस एउटा त्यो रिफ्रेस एउटा त्यो फिलले चाहिँ एकदमै ह्याप्पी दियो क्या मलाई इनर्जी भित्रदेखि मसँग भइरहेको सिद्धिरहेको एउटा चाहिँ इनर्जीलाई ठ्याक्क दियो त्यो झर्दाखेरिको चाहिँ मेरो माइन्ड पुरै रिसेट भइदियो जस्तो भयो क्या केही पनि छैन म एकदमै निलो एकदम नील मसँग केही पनि छैन रित्तियो सकियो मैले सबै चिज छोडिदिएर म झरिसकेको थिएँ हाम फालिसकेको थिएँ तर पुगेर ठ्याक्क तानेर ल्याउँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो एउटा मुभमेन्ट चाहिँ मेरो लाइफको चाहिँ एकदम इन्जोयफुल मुभमेन्ट हो जसले चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ आजको दिनसम्म अझ धेरै उत्प्रेरणाहरू जगाएको एउटा मुभमेन्ट हो त्यो मुभमेन्ट चाहिँ मेरो लागि एकदम मेमोरियल पनि छ
Dilip and Sisir's jump was more than a thrill. It was a loud scream demanding change, a call for accessible tourism.
एक्सेसिबिलिटीकै कुराहरू हुन्छ क्या हजुरको जस्तो अब मैले पोखरामा प्याराग्लाइडिङ गर्दाखेरि कायाकिङ गर्दाखेरि हैन अप्पर मुस्ताङ चाहिँ हजुरको चाहिँ त्यो अफ रोड गाडीमै जाँदाखेरिको कुराहरूमा चाहिँ अलिकति एक्सेसिबल अलिकति हामीलाई चाहिँ पहुँचयुक्त चाहिँ ठाउँहरू भएदेखि अलिकति सजिलो हुन्थ्यो भनौँ न अब यो झोलुङ्गे पुलहरूबाट गरिन्छ हैन त्यहाँ चाहिँ हल्का र्याम्प के जस्तो व्हिलचेयरकै लागि पनि एउटा स्ट्र्याप राख्दाखेरि त काठको एउटा भनौँ न त्यो फ्लोरिङ जस्तै टाइपले गरिदियो भने त हेल्प गर्ने असिस्ट गर्नेलाई पनि सजिलो हुने अनि हामीलाई पनि सजिलो हुने चाहिँ हुन्छ।
Government expands Council of Ministers. 2 ministers sworn in. Sudhan Gurung returns as Home Minister. Opposition MPs stall today's House session. Lawmakers reiterate the Prime Minister correct remarks on border issues. Authorities roll out measures to contain bird flu in Kathmandu Valley. More than 500,000 poultry culled across multiple districts. Farmers of Nepal badly affected by monkey and wildlife attacks on crops and livelihoods. Government forms a task force to find long-term solutions. US expands Chinese company blacklist, adding major firms including Alibaba, Baidu and BYD. China strongly opposes move. And Iran says FIFA revoked its supported ticket allocation just days before World Cup, calls the move unfair. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. The details now. President Ramchandra Paudel has administered the oath of office and secrecy to newly appointed Home Minister Sudhan Gurung and Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation Mahabir Pun. The swearing-in ceremony was held at the office of the President in a special function earlier today. The appointments were made on the recommendation of Prime Minister Balendra Shah, who expanded the cabinet earlier in the day, naming Gurung as Home Minister and Pun as the Minister for Innovation. Gurung is a member of Parliament from Gorkha Constituency 1, representing Rashtriya Swatantra Party. Pun is an independent lawmaker elected from Myagdi. The ceremony was attended by the Vice President, Prime Minister, Chief Justice, Speaker of the Lower House and other senior political leaders, along with heads of constitutional bodies and lawmakers. Nepal's House of Representatives meeting was stalled again today after opposition parties obstructed proceedings, preventing the session from entering its agenda. As soon as the meeting began, opposition lawmakers stood in protest, objecting to Prime Minister Balendra Shah's remarks on Nepal-India border encroachment. They demanded that the Prime Minister clarify and correct his statement in Parliament. Despite repeated requests from the Speaker, protesting lawmakers continued their disruption. During the protest, representatives from major opposition parties expressed their views, demanding not only a clarification from the Prime Minister, but also the resignation of the Finance Minister over alleged changes in tax rates. Lawmakers Nishkal Rai of Nepali Congress, Chitish Thebe of UML, Mahendra Bahadur Shahi of CPN UML, Khushbu Oli of RPP and Harkaraj Sampang of Shram Sanskriti Party participated in the protest, reiterating their demand for a correction of the Prime Minister's statement on the border issue. Nepal has implemented emergency measures to contain bird flu outbreaks across multiple districts, authorities have said. According to Department of Livestock Services, about 515,000 poultry birds from 72 farms in 10 districts have been culled so far after confirmation of the H5N1 virus. Officials said rapid response teams have been deployed, while around 700,000 eggs and 183 tons of poultry feed have also been destroyed as part of containment efforts. Director General Dr. Umesh Dahal said the virus initially detected in Chhapa, Morang and Sunsari has now spread to areas including Kathmandu Valley, Bhaktapur, Lalitpur and Navalparasi via several districts. He added the disease is incurable and stressed that culling infected poultry remains the most effective control measures. Authorities have identified Kathmandu Valley as particularly vulnerable, although the situation is reported to be largely under control in Chitwan and other affected areas. Farmers whose poultry are destroyed will be allowed to resume production after 2 months and are eligible for compensation covering 75% of production costs under existing regulations. Now, what began as a rural nuisance by the monkeys has now grown into a wider crisis, with rising crop losses forcing some households to abandon farming altogether. But the issue is no longer confined to fields and villages. It has also reached Parliament, where lawmakers have been debating its growing impact and demanding urgent solutions. Farmers report animals entering settlements, deepening concerns over safety and daily disruption. In response, the government has formed a task force to explore measures including compensation schemes and long-term management strategies. With damage escalating, pressure is mounting for swift and sustainable action. The United States has updated its list of Chinese companies it says are linked to or aiding China's military, adding major firms including Alibaba, Baidu and BYD. The list issued by the U.S. Defense Department also includes Tencent, pharmaceutical company Wuxi AppTec and robotics startup Unitree. Two memory chip makers, Changxin Memory Technologies and Yangtze Memory Technologies, were reinstated after previously being removed from an earlier version of the list. U.S. officials described the update as a warning to American businesses and government bodies, urging caution in dealings with the named firms. The move comes weeks after President Donald Trump met Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, with both sides seeking to maintain, in fact, stable relations. While the designation carries limited immediate legal consequences, it could pave the way for further restrictions. The updated list is expected to add pressure to already strained U.S.-China economic relations. Meanwhile, China has strongly opposed the latest U.S. decision to blacklist Chinese companies, including major firms Alibaba and Baidu, over alleged links to the Chinese military. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian said Beijing firmly opposed what he called the U.S. generalization of national security and unreasonable suppression of Chinese companies. He also urged Washington to correct its actions.
保持连续，中方一贯坚决反对美方泛化国家安全概念，画设各类名目的歧视性清单，无理打压中国企业。我们敦促美方纠正错误做法，停止对中国企业的无理打压行径。中方将采取必要措施，坚定维护中国企业的正当合法权。
The move follows earlier tensions after a previous version of the list was briefly released and then withdrawn without explanation. Moving on, Iran's Football Federation has said its allocated fan ticket quota for the World Cup group stage had been revoked just days before the tournament began. The competition, co-hosted by Canada, Mexico and the US, was scheduled to start on Thursday, with Iran set to play matches in Los Angeles and Seattle. The federation stated that FIFA regulations normally granted each team 8% of tickets per match for supporters, but said it could no longer distribute tickets that had already been put on sale. It criticized the decision, calling it unfair and against the spirit of international competition, and urged FIFA to uphold neutrality and fairness in the tournament. After the break, Nepal's political landscape takes another dramatic turn as Sudhan Gurung returns as Home Minister before an investigation report linked to him is made public. Plus, independent lawmaker Mahabir Pun makes his federal cabinet debut in a reshuffle that signals fresh changes at the heart of the government. Our issue of the day right away. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Time now for our issue of the day. Nepal's political scene is drawing attention after the cabinet decided to receive a report from a committee investigating former Home Minister and House of Representatives member Sudhan Gurung. Shortly after, Gurung was reappointed as Home Minister in a cabinet reshuffle approved on the recommendation of Prime Minister Balendra Shah, bringing him back to the same portfolio. His swift reappointment has drawn attention as the report of a commission investigating allegations linked to him has not yet been made public. At the same time, independent lawmaker Mahabir Pun has been appointed Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation, marking his entry into the federal cabinet for the first time. The reshuffle reflects ongoing changes within the government as key portfolios are reorganized under the current administration. Reappointed Minister for Home Affairs Sudhan Gurung has assumed his office. Upon assuming the office, Minister Gurung decided to constitute a special task force to investigate whether cases with criminal charges related to Gen Z uprising can be withdrawn and submit a report with recommendations. Likewise, a decision was taken to study the previous investigation reports in connection with Narayanhiti Royal Palace massacre that occurred 2 decades ago and proceed with further investigation as required.
जेनजी आन्दोलनसँग सम्बन्धित घटनामा फौजदारी अभियोजन भएका मुद्दा फिर्ता गर्न सकिने नसकिने सम्बन्धमा छानबिन गरी सिफारिस सहितको प्रतिवेदन पेश गर्न विशेष कार्यदल गठन गर्ने पहिलो। दोस्रो, विक्रम सम्वत 2058 जेठ 19 गते भएको नारायणहिटी राजदरबार हत्याकाण्ड का सम्बन्धमा यस अघि भएका अनुसन्धान प्रतिवेदन अध्ययन गरी थप छानबिनको प्रक्रिया अगाडि बढाउने। गृह मन्त्रालय र सुरक्षा निकायबाट संवेदनशील सूचना चुहावटको घटना हुन नदिन सूक्ष्म निगरानी गरी कारबाही गर्न सुरक्षा निकायमा सेन्सिटिभ इन्फर्मेसन भिजिलेन्स टिम SIVT गठन गर्ने।
Likewise, newly appointed Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation Mahabir Pun assumed the office at Singhadarwar Base Ministry today itself. On the occasion, Minister Pun expressed commitment to push advancement of the science and technology and opined that responsibility would be transferred to the emerging generations by laying solid foundations for science and technology.
एउटा राम्रो एउटा जग बसालेर फाउन्डेसन बसालेर बलियो फाउन्डेसन बसालेर चाहिँ यो छोड्ने हो फाउन्डेसन बनाउने जग बसाल्ने विज्ञान प्रविधिको विकासको लागि जग बसेकै छैन नेपालमा जिरोबाट सुरु गर्ने हो त्यसकारणले 2-3 वर्ष भित्रमा रात दिन काम गरेर फेरि त्यो दिउँसो मात्र काम गर्ने राति काम नगरेर
Young, stylish, audacious and one of the most prominent figures of Gen Z movement in Nepal, Sudhan Gurung has taken guard for his second inning as the Home Minister. His swift reappointment, however, has raised few eyebrows as a report of the commission formed to investigate his alleged involvement in financial fraud has yet to be made public. Wary of the past practices of commissions formed to cover up individuals' guilt, many skeptics are comparing this episode as well. Given his style, it wouldn't be a surprise if Gurung himself makes the report public within days. Devendra Subedi and Rojina Rai brings the story.
Nepal's political corridors are abuzz following the reappointment of Sudhan Gurung as Home Minister, a move that has reignited debate over accountability and transparency in governance. Gurung, known for his mercurial working style and decisive command, had earlier resigned amid allegations of financial misappropriation linked to procurement irregularities within the ministry. In response to public pressure, the government had formed a special commission to investigate his conduct, promising a thorough inquiry into the alleged misuse of funds. However, the findings of that commission has not been public, leaving citizens and lawmakers questioning whether due process was followed. Questions are being raised whether Gurung's return to one of Nepal's most powerful ministries is premature. The day cabinet accepted the report of the commission formed to probe the allegations against him, Gurung took the oath of office and secrecy, along with Mahabir Pun, who has been inducted as the Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation. The return of Gurung, who had gained popularity in his first stint as a man who delivered, has also been seen as a pragmatic decision, citing his administrative efficiency and crisis handling skills by his supporters. The expectations on Gurung, one of the key figures of September Gen Z movement in the country, is high, and he had shown promises in the first stint. But until the report is made public, questions will be asked regularly on his reappointment within the parliament as well as among the public.
That wraps up our issue of the day. Nepal's farmers are facing growing challenge as monkey attacks threaten crops and livelihoods across the country's hills. Our cover story segment after this break, which will also include voices from those on the front lines on why human-wildlife conflict is becoming harder to control. You're watching News Hour here on NTV World. I am Sarah Sapsanama Rai. Welcome back. Time now for our cover story of the day. For generations, Nepal's hills have been known for their terrace farms and rich harvests. Today, many farmers say an unexpected competitor is winning the battle for their crops, which is monkeys. Ibrila Kising Lama with Samriddhi Karki reports.
Crop-raiding monkeys are becoming a growing challenge across Nepal's hills and farmlands, turning what was once a local agricultural issue into a matter of national concern. Lawmakers, agricultural experts, and government officials are increasingly alarmed by the impact of human-wildlife conflict, particularly in the country's mid-hill regions, where more than 60% of farming households are reported to suffer significant crop losses due to monkeys. The problem has become so severe that some farmers are abandoning cultivation altogether, while others are considering leaving their ancestral villages. This has made the matter worse as the barren land has grown jungle where the menaces prosper. Farmers say the animals not only destroy crops but are increasingly entering homes and, in some cases, attacking people. The issue had become so pressing that the federal parliament meetings have been obstructed, demanding immediate solution.
बाँदरलाई नियन्त्रण गर्ने विषयवस्तुमा सरकार कहिल्यै पनि लागेन किनभने हिजोतिर पनि मानिसज्यूहरूले कुरा उठाउनुहुन्थ्यो त्यतिकै सेलिन्थ्यो अनि अहिले पनि हामी धेरै माननीयहरूले कुरा उठाएको त्यसमा पनि सरकारको ध्यान केन्द्रित नभएपछि बाँदरलाई मार्नुपर्छ भनेर मैले आफूले आवाजहरू बुलन्द गरेपछि त्यसपछि अहिले व्यापक हुँदैछ जङ्गलको तिरको घर छेउतिरको किसानहरूले बन्दुक पड्काउने लखेट्ने कोही गरी मार्ने गरेपछि बाँदरहरू भाग्थे अहिले त बाँदर भाग्दैन तपाई जानु हो भने तपाईलाई नै कुट्छ.
Experts warn of the problem worsening as monkeys have adapted well in human vicinity, making farms and villages increasingly vulnerable. In response, the government formed a special task force to study ways of reducing losses caused by monkeys and other wildlife.
अहिलेसम्म यो कार्यदलको गठन भइसक्यो 15 सदस्य विभिन्न मन्त्रालयबाट प्रतिनिधित्व गर्नुभएको छ र प्लस बाहिरबाट एक्सपर्टहरू सबै समावेश गरेर लगभग 15 जनाको एउटा कार्यदल गठन भएको छ र हामी निरन्तर त्यसमा लागिरहेछौं र हामीले इमिडिएटली तत्कालै गर्नुपर्ने एउटा कुरा जसमा हामी बढी फोकस गरिरहेछौं त्यो के हो भने तत्कालै जनतालाई राहत हुने खास गरी किसान वर्गलाई जो अति पीडित हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरुको लागि हामी तत्कालै के गर्न सकिन्छ त ताकि एउटा राज्यको अनुभूति उहाँले तुरुन्तै त्यसलाई बुझ्न पाउनु उहाँलाई त अनुभूति होस् भन्ने खालकोमा लागिरहेछौं.
The team is studying options such as improved compensation and crop insurance schemes, community-based warning systems, and the use of technology and international-based practices to reduce wildlife-related damage. With crop losses mounting and some families being forced to abandon farming, pressure is growing for a sustainable solution to one of Nepal's most pressing rural challenges.
We now look at a story on how farmers across Nepal are being affected by a growing monkey menace that is damaging crops and disrupting livelihoods. Rojina Rai with our local correspondents in Sangja, Sushil Subedi brings a report.
From mid-hills to Tarai region of Nepal, farmers are struggling with a growing monkey menace. In western district like Sangja, the problem has become a pressing issue, affecting all 97 wards. Monkeys are destroying crops at the peak of harvest and even entering homes to snatch cooked food. This issue leaves farmers frustrated and helpless, especially when their livelihoods depend entirely on agricultural produce. Over the years, farmers and local communities have tried various methods to deal with the problem, including using slingshots to scare away monkeys and hiring guards to protect their fields. However, none of these efforts have provided a lasting solution. Farmers lament that their agricultural investment, such as irrigation, seeds, subsidies, and labor, go to waste when crops cannot be protected. As a result, large areas of farmland are gradually being abandoned as people no longer see farming as a reliable source of income for their livelihoods. Many families are being forced to leave their villages in search of work elsewhere as agriculture becomes increasingly uncertain day by day. This frustration is not limited to Sangza district. In eastern Nepal's Khotang, farmers have taken to the streets to demand long-term solutions and to draw attention to the severe damage caused by monkeys. They are calling for immediate action to address the rising threat.
हाम्रा कृषकहरूलाई यो खास गरेर बसाइसराई रोक्न अनि कृषकहरूको बाँझो जग्गा व्यवस्थापन गर्नको लागि अन्तिममा 3 महिनासम्म बाँदर हेरालुहरूको लागि बजेट चाहिँ विनियोजित यो पालिकाले गरेर त्यो व्यवस्थापन गर्न सकिन्छ भनेर हामी अगाडि बढेको अवस्था चाहिँ छ.
As Nepal continues to face this human-wildlife conflict, farmers across different districts are repeatedly raising their voices. Yet, despite protest and discussions, a long-term solution still feels distant, leaving rural communities uncertain about the future of farming. Rosina Rai with Susil Subedi from Sangza reporting for NTV World.
And in this context, today we asked members of the public for their views on how to control the growing monkey menace affecting communities across the country. Let's have a look.
बाँदरले त अति नै दुःख दियो छ. अब यो मकै सबभन्दा मकै अनि त्यसपछि गएर अब गहुँ पनि अनि त्यसपछि गएर घर घरै त्यो मकै छरेको मकै पनि कोट्याएर गेडा खानी. अब घरमा तरकारी केही पनि रहँदैन. काँक्रो गिरम्लो यस्ता कुराहरू केही पनि रहन्न.
बिहान 4 बजेदेखि यसरी कुर्न बस्दाखेरि नास्ता खानी चिया खानी अथवा भात खाने बेलामा पनि पालो अरेर अथवा चिया पनि यही कुर्दै चिया खाँदै गर्ने हो.
बाँदर कुर्दा खाना पकाउन नि पालो गरेर डुल्न घुम्न परिराखेछ. घरको केही काम गर्न पाइएछ न खाना बनाउन पाइएछ. एक सरो मान्छे खाना बनाउने कि बाँदर लखेट्न हिँड्ने कि यस्तो समस्या छ.
हामीले 2.5 महिना भयो मकै कुर्न लागेको. हामी त दिक्कै परेका छौँ. बाँदरले खाएर भ्यायो. अब खान मन लाग्छ. दुईटा गुवा भाँचेर खाम पनि गरै दिन्छ कि बसी खाने दिएको छैन.
अब कुलो छैन खेत रोपम भने मकै छरेको खान पाइँदैन भनेपछि त अनुदान दिएर अब धानको बिउमा अनुदान दिएर मकैको बिउमा अनुदान दिएर हामीलाई केही फाइदा अनुदान भित्राउनै नपाइने भयो.
यसरी त कति दिन हुन्छ र. अब बाँदरको खेतमा देखादेखै गयो. मलाई झम्टेपछि अरू आइमा केटाकेटी कोही जानै सकेनन् भनेपछि त खाने के हो त हामीले कि सरकारले हामीलाई पाल्न पर्यो.
अब अहिले पनि सानातिना अब भनौँ न अब तरकारी खेती यताउति गरौँ भन्ने अवस्था चाहिँ अहिले रहेन. किन भन्दाखेरि अब लगाउँ त भनेर आश गरिसकेर लगाइन्छ. लगाइसकेपछि बाँदरहरू झ्यापझुप पाएर आफू चाहिँ घर सधैँ अब रोजगारीको उसमा अथवा काममा केही व्यस्तता हुनुपर्छ. त्यसले गर्दाखेरि यो चाहिँ अलि लगाउने चाहिँ अवस्था भएन.
एउटा विकल्प बाँदरलाई बन्ध्याकरण गर्नुपर्छ. अर्को विकल्प यसलाई आर्मी शासन लाएर यसको अस्तित्व कायम हुने गरेर यसलाई चाहिँ नियन्त्रण गर्नै पर्छ.
That wraps up our cover story of the day. On to other news. Nepal's Council of Ministers has endorsed Civil Service 16th Amendment Regulation 2083. Government spokesperson and Minister for Education and Sports, Sachmeet Pokhrel, said the cabinet meeting held at the office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers also formed a 9-member ad hoc committee under Vishal Bhandari to manage leadership and administrative affairs of Nepal Red Cross Society. The cabinet further approved the use of National Forest area for 4 hydropower projects, including Lower Arun, Lower Nyadi, Ghunsa Khola and Tadi Khola projects.
पहिला कृषि वन तथा पर्यावरण मन्त्रालयबाट छ. तल्लो अरुण जलविद्युत आयोजना, लोअर न्यादी खोला जलविद्युत आयोजना, घुन्सा खोला जलविद्युत आयोजना र तादी खोला जलविद्युत आयोजनालाई राष्ट्रिय वन क्षेत्र प्रयोग गर्न स्वीकृति दिने. दोस्रोमा सामान्य प्रशासन मन्त्रालयबाट छ. निजामती सेवा 16औं संशोधन नियमावली 2083 स्वीकृत गर्ने. अर्को महिला मन्त्रालयबाट छ. श्री विशाल कुमार भण्डारी दोलखाको अध्यक्षतामा नेपाल रेड क्रस सोसाइटीको 9 सदस्यीय तटस्थ समिति गठन गर्ने. र अन्त्यमा छ पूर्व गृहमन्त्री एवं प्रतिनिधि सभा सदस्य माननीय सुदन गुरुङको सम्बन्धमा अध्ययन तथा छानबिन गर्न गठित समितिले पेश गरेको प्रतिवेदन ग्रहण गर्ने.
Opposition parties in Nepal's House of Representatives have decided to continue their protests inside Parliament, demanding that Prime Minister Balendra Shah withdraw his recent remarks on the border issue. At a meeting held at the Congress Parliamentary Party office in Singhadarbar, the leaders described the Prime Minister's statement, suggesting that Nepal has also encroached on Indian territory as objectionable and insisted that it be immediately corrected. According to CPN-UML Chief Whip Ain Mahara, the opposition is also demanding that the Prime Minister address the House, apologize to the nation and have the remarks removed from the parliamentary record. The opposition further said it would raise its concerns in an all-party meeting after the ruling side proposed discussions on the issue. Separately, the meeting also discussed recent changes in tax rates, with opposition parties calling for a parliamentary investigation committee to look into the matter. All opposition parties attended the meeting except Shram Sanskriti Party. The meeting of Ministry of Information and Communication has recorded mixed progress in budget execution in the current fiscal year 2082-83. Of the total allocation of 7.91 billion rupees, the ministry has spent 50.88% so far, amounting to roughly $59.3 million. Under current expenditure, 63.58% of the allocated 5.95 billion rupees has been utilized, which is around $44.6 million. At the meeting, Minister Bikram Timal Sina directed subordinate bodies to improve service delivery and adopt a results-oriented approach.
हामी जागिर खाइरहेका छौं भन्ने मानसिकताबाट चाहिँ उठ्नु पर्यो र हामी चाहिँ राष्ट्र निर्माणमा लागिरहेका छौं। जसरी सम्पूर्ण सरकारी कर्मचारीहरूलाई राष्ट्र सेवक भनिन्छ नि, उ साँचो अर्थमा हामी राष्ट्र र जनताको सेवक हो भन्ने चाहिँ अर्थ त्यो जनताले अनुभूत गर्ने गरी त्यो दिन सकियो भनेदेखि मेरो हिसाबमा धेरै समस्याहरू यो टेक्निकल निटिग्रिटीहरू छोडेर पनि समस्याका समाधानहरू हुन्छन्।
Nepal has declared the next 10 years as the decade for promoting domestic employment. Speaking at the 114th International Labour Organization Conference in Geneva, Minister for Youth, Labour and Employment Ramji Yadav said Nepal government has adopted a 10-year action plan to build a productive and inclusive labour market for Nepali youth.
Actually, we stand at a critical moment where labor markets are being reshaped by technological innovation, artificial intelligence, climate change, labor mobility, and new patterns of production. And these forces are transforming our workplaces, economies, and societies. If deliberate action is not taken, these forces may deepen inequalities, widen skills gaps, perpetuate informality, and leave many workers without protection. Therefore, the central question before us is how do we advance human dignity, social justice, and decent work? And this calls for a meaningful tripartite cooperation and a strong ILO.
Minister Yadav also said Nepal has a zero-tolerance policy toward labour exploitation and forced labour and is digitizing its migration system to ensure fair recruitment, wages and worker protection. Moving on, 16 Nepali workers who were allegedly held hostage in India's Haryana state under the pretext of employment have been rescued and preparations are underway to bring them back home. The workers, originally from the Musahar settlement in Ward number 14 of Bardibas municipality, that's in Mahottari district, were rescued through coordinated efforts involving Indian police, Nepali embassy in New Delhi, area police office in Bardibas and relatives in India. Authorities say the rescued workers will be repatriated to Nepal soon. The group had travelled to Jajjar in Haryana for work at a poultry farm after being promised attractive jobs and good income. However, once there, they were reportedly subjected to physical abuse, threats, verbal harassment and labour exploitation. Officials say further procedures are underway to ensure their safe return. The historic Motherland Community Library, one of the oldest libraries in Western Siangja, is gradually transforming into a modern and well-managed institution. Established in 1990, the library has long served as a cornerstone of education and public awareness in the region. It has now upgraded its services and operations to meet modern standards. Once known for providing overseas telephone services, postal services and SLC examination result information, the library is currently operating from a new technology-friendly building. Himlal Neupane brings more.
Established in 2046 PS, the Motherland Community Library of Xiangja is among the oldest libraries in the district. At a time when access to communication and technology was limited, the library served as a reliable source of information and services for the people of Western Xiangja. Whether it was checking SLC examination results, making overseas telephone calls, or accessing additional postal services, the library played an important role in the lives of local residents. What once operated on a small scale has now evolved into a modern institution with the changing times. With financial support from the government of Japan and technical assistance from Read Nepal, the library has been operating from a new building since 2022. The building was constructed at a total cost of 12 million Nepali rupees. The library now offers Public Service Commission preparation books for students, devotional and religious materials for senior citizens, special facilities for persons with disabilities, and a child-friendly section equipped with sports and recreational materials. Despite having 550 lifetime members, the library still faces challenges in ensuring its regular and sustainable operation.
राज्यले यस्ता पुस्तकालयहरू देशभरमा धेरै छन् होला, तर यसको एउटा सञ्चालनका लागि हामीले मानव संसाधनको चाहिँ अत्यन्तै जरुरी छ, जसमा यहाँ हामीले कर्मचारीहरूलाई नियुक्ति गरेर राख्दाखेरि उहाँहरूलाई तलबी रूपमा राख्न सकिएको छैन.
Having been established in a geographically remote village and serving as a backbone of education and information, it is essential to preserve the historical significance of this library. Local residents say that if the government takes concrete initiatives for its proper maintenance and staff management, this historic institution will continue to inspire future generations for years to come.
International news lined up next. Before that, a recap of the headlines. Government expands its Council of Ministers. 2 ministers sworn in. Sudan Gurung returns as Home Minister. Opposition MPs stall today's House session. Lawmakers reiterate Prime Minister correct remarks on border issues. Authorities roll out measures to contain bird flu in Kathmandu Valley. More than 500,000 poultry culled across multiple districts. Farmers of Nepal badly affected by monkey and wildlife attacks on crops and livelihoods. Government forms a task force to find long-term solutions. US expands Chinese company blacklist, adding major firms including Alibaba, Baidu and BYD. China strongly opposes the move. And Iran says FIFA revoked its supporter ticket allocation just days before the World Cup began, calls the move unfair. Philippine authorities have said the death toll from a powerful 8.2 magnitude earthquake has risen to 37, with more than 400 people injured. The quake struck near Mindanao, causing extensive damage to buildings, roads and public infrastructure. Officials reported around 1,000 aftershocks, prompting warnings of further tremors in affected areas. Rescue teams continued search and relief operations as 4 people remained missing. Power and communication services were disrupted in several Philippines areas. The President, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., has ordered emergency agencies to accelerate relief and recovery efforts. Chinese President Xi Jinping and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un have reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening ties between the two countries. During a meeting today, both leaders pledged to deepen cooperation and preserve their long-standing friendship. Xi and Kim, accompanied by their spouses, paid tribute at the China DPRK Friendship Tower. They also agreed to promote educational programs aimed at younger generations. The meeting underscored continuing political and diplomatic coordination between Beijing and Pyongyang. Business news lined up next. For now, a short breather.
The International Monetary Fund completed its final review under Nepal's Extended Credit Facility Program and approved approximately $42.9 million in financial assistance. The IMF said the decision reflected Nepal's progress in structural reforms despite slower economic activity. The fund cited improvements in governance, financial sector, oversight and public accountability, while projecting economic growth of around 3% for the 2025-26 fiscal year. However, it warned that political unrest, weaker agricultural output, slower private investment, and the impact of the Middle East conflict could weigh on growth. Nepal has received about $384.1 million under the program and pledged to continue reforms to strengthen financial stability and public finance management. China's flying car industry reached a major milestone as new electric models entered critical development stages, signaling a new era for urban transportation. In Chengdu, a 6-seat flying car underwent airworthiness certification after completing initial test flights, while another model in Guangzhou successfully carried out its first public flight. Developers said the aircraft could support tourism, emergency rescue, and intercity travel. Experts projected that as technology advanced and costs declined, flying cars could become a mainstream mode of transport by 2035, potentially creating a market worth 10 trillion yuan. Turkey expanded its tourism offerings in Cappadocia by introducing new night museum experiences designed to attract more visitors throughout the year. As part of the initiative, several of the region's most iconic historical and natural sites were illuminated, allowing tourists to explore them after sunset. Lighting work was carried out at the Göreme Open Air Museum, Zelva Open Air Museum, Pasaba Archaeological Site, and Erdemli Valley, with 692 fixtures set to be installed by the end of the month. Officials said the project would encourage longer stays and provide visitors with a unique nighttime perspective of Cappadocia's ancient rock-carved settlements and famous fairy chimneys.
And with that, we move on to Sports Update. The International Football Association Board has approved a set of landmark changes to the laws of the game, set to debut at the FIFA World Cup 2026, the first major tournament to implement the new rules. In a video submission, we break down the key updates that will reshape how the game is played at the highest level. This explainer is based on infographics provided by our video partner, EBU AVN. Let's take a look.
The IFAB approved a set of landmark changes to the laws of the game, and the FIFA World Cup 2026 will be the first major tournament to use them. These amendments aim to tackle discrimination, cut time wasting, enhance match tempo, and improve both the player and fan experience. Some of the landmark changes are: any player in the tournament seen covering their mouth in a confrontational situation with an opponent may be given a red card by the referee. If a player leaves the pitch in protest at an official's decision, this may also result in a red card. A red card may also be given to any team official who incites or encourages players to leave the field of play because of a decision by an official. If a referee feels a goal kick is being deliberately delayed, a 5-second visual countdown will be initiated. If the ball is not in play by the end of that countdown, the goal kick will turn into a corner for the opposing team. The same 5-second countdown applies to throw-ins, with the opposing team being awarded a throw-in if the referee deems a side is taking too long. When a player is being substituted, they must leave the pitch within 10 seconds. If they fail to do so, they must still exit the field of play, but the player replacing them will not be allowed onto the pitch until the first stoppage after 1 minute of play has elapsed. When a player receives an on-field assessment for an injury, or their injury causes the game to stop, they must leave the field of play and remain off for 1 minute after play has restarted. Where there is clear evidence, the VAR will now be permitted to check and review. Red cards arising from a clearly incorrect second yellow card. Mistaken identity, when the referee penalizes the wrong team for an offense resulting in a red or yellow card being shown to the wrong player. Clearly incorrectly awarded corner kick, provided that the review can be completed immediately and without delaying the restart. And clear attacking team offenses before the ball is in play at free kicks or corners, where they directly influence a goal, penalty, or disciplinary outcome. These laws will all be implemented for the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Now the weather updates, first from Nepal and then across the world. Before wrapping up, here's a reminder of our top stories this hour. Nepal government expands its Council of Ministers. 2 ministers sworn in. Subsidiary Gurung returns as Home Minister. Opposition MPs stall today's House session. Lawmakers reiterate the Prime Minister correct remarks on border issues. Authorities roll out measures to contain bird flu in Kathmandu Valley. More than 500,000 poultry culled across multiple districts. Farmers in Nepal badly affected by monkey and wildlife attacks on crops and livelihoods. Government formed a task force to find long-term solutions. US expands Chinese company blacklist, adding major firms including Alibaba, Baidu and BYD. China strongly opposes the move. And Iran says FIFA revoked its supporter ticket allocation just days before World Cup began. Calls the move unfair. That's it for this edition of News Hour here on NTV World. Do join us through our social media pages and also visit our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Good night.